Okay, which one is that? Okay. 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 So it's going to be a football field. Yep. So I get your question. So your question is, you said average, Abby. So you can get the average figure, and then you can get the median. So average more or less be the mean, and then median. So most times what they do is different valuation methods, Abby. So we have DCF, Abby. We have trading comps, CC. Okay. We have precedent transaction, Abby. Which other one? Say sum of the parts. Sum of the parts. Which other one? DCF trading comps, precedent transaction, sum of the parts. Which other one? Asset base or say liquidation value. No, this one doesn't always apply. Let's just use this for. So this football field, it looks somewhere around, say a DCF gives you a value of say, DCF gives you a value of say, values becoming at 100 million. Taking comparable values, the company at say 150 million. Precedent transaction values it at 200 million. And then some of the parts values it at say 120. So this is like this diagram. This is like a very basic version of what a football field is. So the different valuation methodologies, and then it spreads it out. Now, what do you use to value? I remember in that class I said use the average, the mean here. So you get for different, so company A, company B, company C, company D. And then company A's multiple is say 1.2 times, company B's multiple is 1.4 times, company C is 1.6 times, company D is 1.8 times. What I said was that you find the average. 1.2 plus 1.4, 2.6, 2.6 plus 3.4, that's about 6. No, so this is 2.6, and this is what, 3.4. So that is what, that's 6.0. So 6 times, this is the average, and then you use this, you apply it to say the enterprise value of the private company you want to value, and then you get a figure. This is one way to do it. So your question now is, I think I saw your email, or was I sick or something? I don't know. I didn't class. The question now is that you saw that they like spread the different valuation, and then they use the median. Okay. Okay. Value. Okay. 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 Yes. So yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this. Like when you are like estimating the value of the company, you won't give a specific figure. You usually give a range. So there'll be like a minimum. So now this is a range already. So the valuation of whatever company you want to value is going to be between 1.2 times EV to 1.8 times EV. Oh, use the average. So, like ideally, use the range. Like you can't get it. You can't get a specific figure, because I mean there might have been errors in your calculation, in your assumptions, and what have you. So it's usually very safe to just give a range. Also, the value of Cisco and so company is within the range of 100 million to 200 million, and we got this with the trading comp. And ideally, what they normally use, you don't get like an indicative value if you take the median, not the average. You take the median. So the median of this is what? So okay, let's add company E. Company E is 2 times. So the median of this will be 1.6. So you now apply 1.6 to the enterprise value or whatever line item it is, and then you come up with a value. So like you said, which is a very valid point, it's ideal that you come up with a range 1.2 times to 1.8 times. So that is that with that. So is your question clear now? Do you have any other one? Okay, so yours is this year, Fabi. Let's wait for a method to come, so we just take it. So yes, just a question. Okay. 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 So for that's most likely why you're getting the negative thing. So with financial institutions, the valuation is quite different. So you don't use the typical free cash flow is meaningless for a bank, for an insurance company. So you don't use those metrics to value a bank or an insurance company. For a bank, ideally what you use would be price to book, price to tangible book value. So price to book value, price to tangible book value. You use a DDM, dividend discount model. Which other way would you value a bank? I think there's a residual value method. I don't really know too much about that. Residual value method for a bank. And then for an insurance company, let me see. How do you value an insurance company? I think price to book would also work for an insurance company. So most financial institutions use price to book value, price to tangible book value. The difference between book value and tangible book value. So book value essentially is book value of a company is its asset. So for tangible book value, the asset we would be using would be asset less goodwill, because goodwill is intangible. Asset less goodwill, and then other intangible assets. Under intangibles, that would be the assets you use for tangible book value, and then you simply subtract the way you do here. So this will be asset less goodwill and other intangibles minus liability, and then it gives you your book value. And then you know how the old multiples work: share price of the company over its book value per share. So book value per share now would be this book value divided by number of shares outstanding. It will give you the value of the company, the book value of the company per share, and then that gives you a multiple. So you can get for company A, B, C using this price to book value. So it gives you a value, and then you're able to value a company. So this is ideally what they use to value like banks and insurance companies. You use price to you also use price to earnings. For banks, you use price to earnings ratio. So banks, price to earnings ratio, price to book value ratio, price to book value multiple, and price to tangible book value multiple. You also use the dividend discount model for banks. There's also the residual value. You can read up on that. And then for insurance company, I think it's also the same thing. There's a really
so for the dividend discount model.
Okay.
Now, the insurance company we're talking about now has not paid dividends since 2006.
Okay.
So I don't know, how do you go about valuing them by intrinsic method?
So if so you're saying the insurance company has not paid dividends since 2006. So to make your life easy, the insurance company has not paid dividend. So it simply means that you valuing it using intrinsic would not be easy or might not be possible. So in that scenario, you use what other multiples you could use to value. That's just the way to look at this thing. You don't want to be bent on, the purpose of DCF to value a company. It's DCF we use. Guess what? If you are valuing a company and the company does not have predictable and stable cash flows, you can't use DCF to value that company. So all these valuation methods, they have like criteria they have to meet. If they don't meet, if the company you're trying to value does not meet that criteria, it doesn't make sense using the valuation method. That's just the way to look at it. So if you are trying to value an insurance company, for example, and it has not paid dividend for like past 10 years, I don't know how would you do it? Because basically, with your dividend discount model, you're trying to get like, say the dividend the insurance company has been paying. You're trying to discount that, I guess. You're trying to discount that, and then so you just do like a DCF. So for a DCF now, it will be free cash flow, Abi, over 1 plus the discount rate raised to power n, Abi. So with a dividend discount model, your free cash flow in this scenario is going to be your dividend. So it's going to be dividend this year, and then you can make assumption for how dividends will be growing, and then you get to like the 5th year, and then you try and grow it to perpetuity, and then you find the present value. But if the insurance company doesn't have dividends, this time doesn't make sense. Just the same way if a normal company doesn't have free cash flow, but the free cash flow is negative, it will make sense valuing it with the DCF. So that's just the way to look at it. Any other question? Yeah. Any other question?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question is, if you want to go ahead and find a financial organization using the DCF,
Okay.
does it mean the result is bound to be?
You can't value it with the DCF. Because the way a bank works is quite different from normal companies. So with a normal company, how would I explain this? So first of all, what value do you get from a DCF? Like when you do a DCF, what value do you get? Do you get enterprise value? Exactly. And enterprise value is what? Equity value plus net debt. That's debt minus cash. Abi? Yeah, plus minority interest if there's any. So this enterprise value formula assumes that this debt you are taking is to either grow the business, make acquisitions, and stuff like that. And then this this formula is also assuming that cash here is like an operating asset. Yeah? Cash is like an operating asset. What have you? With a bank, debt works differently. And then cash also works differently. So with a bank, the way it works is, if you want to value a bank, for example, with normal companies, you start with the income statement, you project income statement, and then you move to the balance sheet, and then you move to the cash flow. With a bank, you start from the balance sheet, because things work really, really differently with a bank. So you start with the bank's balance sheet, and then you look at interest income. You look at interest income. You look at interest expense. Interest expense. You deduct that. It gives you net interest income. Net interest income. Then you get your non-interest income. Non-interest income. What else do you get? There's allowance for loans provision or something like that, or allowance for loans or something. Allowance or provision for there's a word they call it. I can't really remember. Allowance slash provision for for loan losses or something like that. And what have you and what have you. So for a bank, like this interest income is like revenue. This is the top line. So the way a bank makes money is they accept loans, or no, they accept deposits rather, Abi, and then they give out loans. So they make money off the difference between the interest they make giving out loans and then the interest they make accepting, the interest they pay accepting deposits. So the way it works with a bank is, if you want to say value a bank, you first start with the balance sheet, and then with the balance sheet you start with like your interest income. To get your interest income, you have to look at your interest producing assets. When you look at your interest producing assets, you have to make assumptions for money in the afternoon. So you look at your interest producing assets, and then you make assumptions for the percentage interest you get. The percentage, like all of this is very, very, I don't even know why you guys are interested in bank modeling. Nobody's going to ask you this in the interview. They're going to ask you very, very basic stuff, but it's always good to know, it. Like I was saying, so on the balance sheet, all we are trying to do is trying to get an idea of revenue, trying to make an estimate of that, and trying to like see if we can project it. Normally, for a normal company, you just go to the income statement, Abi. You check what it made the last year. So it made 100 million the last year, or it has been making like 70 to 100 million over 3 years. You assume using the last one like to grow by what? Grow by 30% going forward, or to grow by 15%. But with a bank, it's different. You don't start with the income statement, you go to the balance sheet. Because the balance sheet of the bank is what drives the earnings of the bank. So, and how does it drive it? Like we said, bank makes money by giving out loans. So the interest it charges on the loans it gives out, and then they have to pay people that deposit their money. So the difference between this will give you interest income. Now there are different types of loans a bank gives out. So ideally on the bank's balance sheet, you most likely see the different types of interest producing assets it has. So you'd have interest producing assets, and then you'd have assumption for the interest rates on those assets. So you have interest producing assets A, B, C, what have you. Say first one brings 10%, second one brings 11%, second one brings 12%. You get that. And then what else? You'd have, so these are interest producing assets, and then interest expenses. So you have interest expenses. So interest expenses, for example, or maybe the interest expenses, maybe they borrowed money from, the central bank. There's an interest rate they would pay. Say the first one is 2%. So interest expense, A, interest expense, B, interest expense, C, 2%, 3%, say 4%. And another source of interest expenses, we said deposits. So deposits in a bank's balance sheet is a liability, and then loans are like assets, because that is what drives their. So for the different types of deposits, they have fixed deposits, time deposits, fixed I already said fixed deposits. You would list it under it, and then you make assumptions for the interest. Now, if interest producing assets A is say 100 million, what is your own income there from it for a year? We assume you get interest of 10%. So by the time you find 10% of this, you get an amount. You find 11% of this, you get an amount. You find 12% of this, you get an amount. Add all of that together, that gives you your interest income. Do the same thing with this, that gives you your interest expense, and then you subtract this from this, you get your net interest income. Now, why we are going through all this is because this is telling you that a bank works differently. With a normal company, when we want to get our free cash flow, what do? Free cash flow, we work from EBIT. So we do EBIT, and then we subtract the tax rate so the tax rate of the company, that's tax rate. So minus tax rate of EBIT, Abi? And then we get what? We get no plat. Yeah? So we get no plat, and then you add non-cash charges, depreciation, amortization, and then you subtract capital expenditure, you subtract changes, increase, if there's an increase in working capital, you subtract it, and then you get your free cash flow. And the free cash flow we get is what? Unlevered free cash flow. This is making the assumption that, so you see where we started from, earnings before interest and tax. With a bank, interest is key. Interest is how they make money. So if you want to value them, you can't value them not taking into consideration interest. Do you get? For other companies, interest is like on the side, or say they have free cash in their bank. Instead of just leaving it value, they can put it on fixed deposit with another bank. They get interest income. Or they go and buy treasury bills, short term, buy treasury bills 6 months, they get interest income. Those kind of income, they are not fundamental to the business. And because other companies like them might not take out or purchase such interest-bearing assets, it will be hard trying to compare two companies together. That's why we usually start with earnings before interest and tax. Ideally, you add depreciation and amortization, so they are all comparable. But with a bank, interest works differently. Interest is key. So if you're valuing a bank, you can't take out, you can't say you want to value them before interest. What are you valuing? This is how they make their money. So in that sense, interest works differently. Also with a bank, like we said, debt is different. So see deposits, for example. Deposit is a liability. But they need deposits to make money. Because it's the deposits they use to give out loans. So debt in this sense. So if you are trying to get net debt for a bank, it doesn't make sense. Because they use debt to make money. Other companies use debt to, say, acquire a company or to grow the business. But with a bank, it's different. Like, debt is core. And also, with a bank, they have lots of cash balance. Because, with banks, so a bank is a very, very important financial institution. And usually, they have, like, regulatory requirements, capital requirements. So there's something called CRR, cash reserve ratio. So the central bank, I think for Nigeria, it's about 22.5%. So this means that if they have assets of 100 million, by law, they are mandated to keep 22.5% of that 100 million in cash or near cash, very liquid assets. So if you're valuing any bank, you would find out that they have a huge cash balance. And let's try and see how that will work out here. So you have enterprise value equals to equity value plus debt minus cash. At the end of the day, you find out that the cash you have is usually more, whereby you add equity value, you add your debt. By the time you subtract cash, because cash is more, you end up getting a negative enterprise value. That doesn't make sense. It's unlevered because you've not applied the effect of debt of interest exactly. So it's available to everybody because you're starting from earnings before interest and tax. So levered means, so if you are going through the levered, use net income. So levered means you paid out debt holders, whatever value you'd get is available to only equity holders. No. So levered means you factored in debt. Unlevered means debt has not been factored. It's available to everybody. Net income just to equity holders. So just from this little explanation, you can get why it doesn't make sense to like you said you were getting negative free cash flow. Like you definitely get a negative free cash flow because a bank works differently. And then I think another thing is, I want to say something now, I just forgot. Another thing with a bank is that what matters with a bank is its equity value. So equity value is what is key. That is why if you look at all the multiples we're using to value it, we're using price to book value, we're using price to earnings, we're using price to tangible book value, we're using dividend discount model. Equity holders are the only ones that get dividends, Abby. And then there's something called residual value. So you see they're all equity multiples. So equity value is what makes sense to a bank.
When you say price to, what that price?
No, not exactly. It's something like small. When you are valuing like companies that do rate.
That do what?
Rate like when let's say that.
Okay.
Something. So the multiples now depends on the price to like FF to funds from operation.
Yeah. So
what's that price?
Price is share price.
Price so that is the framework that we
share price, exactly. So usually you're trying to value a private company using information from a public company. So you have a private company, because it's private, we don't really know how much it's valued. The business owners can tell us it's worth 1 billion, but how are we sure it's worth 1 billion? So you now get comparable companies that are publicly traded. Abi? And then you get their multiples. Then you get a range from the multiples of comparable companies that are public. And then you now apply it to a line item on the private companies, and then you get a value. So the price is usually the share price. So price is usually the share price, and then real estate, fund from operations. I think there's another explanation. Yeah. So the way real estate works is you have like things that are peculiar to them. That's why I don't think I can remember how fund from operations means. But it's similar to EBITDA or something like that, but it's specific to real estate. For airline companies too, they have like specific multiples. And it's really, really important if like you guys take the time to get the multiples for like specific industry, because they work. Take for example now, they might ask you how you value it, what multiples you do. So they might ask, there's this question that is very popular online. So if you had to value Facebook when it was just founded, how would you value Facebook? Because first off, Facebook was not generating revenue. So the firm is not even, was it revenue? Was it revenue? They are not generating, like they had no profit exactly. So if your firm doesn't have profit, your so your EBIT makes no sense, because EBIT will be zero, earnings before interest and tax. So how do you have valued Facebook in 2007 when it came out? Those are tricky questions to ask you. So for Facebook, for example, what you could have done would be say enterprise value. So with tech companies, they really place a lot of emphasis on the number of page views they get, because they feel the more people view the websites, it means the more traction the site is getting and the potential of people. Exactly. So the way all these tech companies work is the higher the number of people that visit your site, the more it makes sense for a company to come and advertise on your site. So the more they can increase this, the more they sound very appealing to advertising companies, and the more advertising companies pay them. So page views in this sense will drive the value of the company. So like assignment for your own good, try and get industry specific multiples. Industry specific multiples. So you'd have for real estate, you'd have for airline companies, aviation. So you'd have for real estate, you have for airline companies, you have for which other one? Yeah, so mining, natural resources. I think the year I was interviewing, there was a friend of mine, they asked him how would you value, one very weird question relating to mining, how would you value a mining company or something like that? How would you look at it? Like, so a mining company, an oil and gas company, what else? A tech company. So these industries have like specific multiples that make sense to them. An oil and gas company, now you value an oil and gas company with, I think, price to million cubic feet equivalent. So million cubic feet equivalent is trying to tell us that this oil and gas company, how much proven gas reserves or oil reserves does this company have? So the more the oil reserve this company has, the more it has the opportunity to be valuable in the future, if you know what I mean. So this drives the valuation. For an airline company, for example, it would be enterprise value to EBITDA. So that's EBITDA with R. Because rent is a very, very crucial cost for airline companies. So instead of using the normal EBITDA, we use this. This is rent. So simply what this is saying is that in addition to adding depreciation and amortization back, you add back rent expense. So this is for an airline company. This is for oil and gas. This is an example of a multiple for oil and gas. For real estate is usually, I don't know if it's price to fund from operations, FFO, and then there is also price, I don't know if it's price, I'm not sure. Okay, price to fund from operations and price to adjusted fund from operations. So read up on like this multiples. It's very, very testable for interviews.
So what's like some of them are easy, whatever.
Okay.
Price. So like you can see that tracking like what really.
How do you know when to use enterprise value to? So like it's how do you know when to use price and when to use enterprise value? So yes, so you know we said apples to apples, yeah. So enterprise value is what the holistic value of the company, taking into consideration both equity holders and debt holders. So if you are trying to come up with a multiple, it would only make sense that you compare this to a line item that is also available to everybody, and that is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. That is why this one makes sense. For price to fund from operations, so I think in real estate, fund from operations is a proxy for net income. Adjusted fund from operations is also a proxy for net income. And then we know net income is what? Available to which category of shareholders? Just equity holders, because debt holders have been paid. So it makes sense. Price relates to equity holders. So it makes sense to compare price to net income. Price to net income. And then for price to million cubic feet equivalent, well, you guys should start that. I don't think I can explain this. But it follows that same logic. So I would assume that this is also available to maybe. Is it price or EV? I think it's, I don't know if it's price to or enterprise value. You can just read up on that. So yes, so you need to like read up on multiples that are specific to certain industries. They would ask you, trust me. So yeah, we thoughts on that. So for guys that are just joining us, what we're basically doing is, you guys said you want a valuation makeup class. So what I did was to ask like each of them, so it was just 3 of them initially, to ask them what exactly don't they understand, and then we just trash it like that. So Toby's question was, I don't know, I can't remember, but it was something. Toby, do you want to remind us what your question was?
Okay, I asked two, 3 questions.
Okay. Okay.
And the first question was, during last class we discussed valuing by comparable.
Okay.
Comparable, and we said something like that we get the multiples of each company.
Okay.
As comparable company. Then we take an average of each to arrive at the enterprise value of the private company.
Okay.
We're trying to
Okay.
do evaluation. But then when I read the material, I saw that what they did instead was for each of the comparables that the companies, they got different enterprise value for the private company. Then they now use it as a range. From the evaluation they did from each of the comparables,
they got a range
for that
private company.
So my question was, which is the
Which one is
about it? Are we supposed to just get the average, get one particular enterprise value, or get the range using the difference?
Yeah, exactly. This question is like very, very super good and super important, because they would ask you. And then my answer to that question was that it's always ideal to get a range. Like you said, you get the multiples of different companies, say the comparable, you're trying to value ABC Limited, it's a private company. How would you value this? We're using comparable companies. You get the multiples for public company A, public company B, public company C, public company D, and E. The multiple for public company A is 1.2 times enterprise value. This is 1.3, this is 1.4, this is 1.5, and this is 2 times. The average of this would be 1.2, 1.3, 2.5, 2.5, 2.9 would give you what? 2.5, 2.9 will give you 4.4. 4.4 plus 2 will give you what? 6.4. So the average of this would be 6.4 times. The median of this, would be, so the median would be, median of this is what 1, 2, so the median of this would be 1.4 times. So what he's saying is that, should we take this average multiple and then say for ABC Limited, the enterprise value is 100 million. What I said in my very first class was that you take this average, 6.4, and you multiply it to 100 million, and you get what would you get? You get about 640 million. And then this gives you an idea how much the private company is worth. But what he's asking now is, what he said he saw online was that what they did was to get the value of each of these comparable companies. So we are saying public company A is worth 1.2 times EBITDA. Let's see how much this multiple, what value would it give us if we applied it to the enterprise value of this private company. 1.2 times 100 will give you what? 120 million, yeah? 120 million. This is company A. Company B will give you what? 130 million. Company C will give you what? 140 million. Company D will give you what? 150 million. And company E will give you what? 200 million. So what he's saying, and what I agree with, is that if they asked you now, what is the value of company ABC Limited? The ideal response should be, based on comparable multiples, company ABC Limited has a value between the range of 120M to 200 million. 200 million. So indicative value. So this is an ideal answer to give, not that, oh, company A has. So another way to look at it is, oh, we got the multiples and then we found the median of the multiples. So the median should be a reflective average of what. So the median should be a value that reflects the average value of similar companies in an industry. And it makes sense to use the average or the middle number to pretty much come up with a value for this company. Because some interviewers will tell you, I want a specific value. Give me a specific value. So in that scenario, you can tell them, okay, so the median is 1.4. You apply the median multiple to the enterprise value, and then you get this figure. But ideally, you should tell them that given the multiples of comparable companies, this company can be valued in the range of 120 million to 200 million. So that was his question. So 640 million is gotten by the average. I didn't divide it by. Oh, sorry, yeah, so you divide it. Yeah, sorry. So you divide it, exactly. You divide it, but ideally you're meant to use the median, so this should be 140. So that is what he was saying. So in summary, when you're asked to come up with a value for a company, you already know how to do it. You have your comparable methods, you use your multiples. It is usually safe to give them a range of what the value of a company is as opposed to a specific figure. So that was his question in a nutshell. The second question was about banks. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, so we still have distress. So he was saying, how would you value a bank? That he tried using a DCF for a bank, and then the figures he gets in was not making sense. And then I was explaining to him that you can't use a DCF to value a bank, because a bank is a kind of special type of company. It's a financial institution, and the way things work with a bank is very, very different from the way things work with other companies. So with other companies, you ideally starts with, so obviously if you want to use a DCF, you have to get the free cash flow, yeah? And to get the free cash flow, you have to get what? EBIT. And to get EBIT, what do you have to do? You have to forecast the income statement. So when you forecast the income statement, you get EBIT, you get other figures, and then you walk all the way down, and then you now start subtracting. With a bank, EBIT makes no sense. Where is it? Yeah, so with a bank, EBIT makes no sense because a bank makes money primarily from interest. So a bank is driven by its interest income. A bank is driven by its balance sheet. So ideally, if you want to value a bank, you'd start from the balance sheet, and then the income statement, and then the cash flow statement. And why is that? If you look at a typical bank, so how do banks make money? They accept deposits from their customers, and then they promise to give those customers a certain percent, your savings, interest on your savings account or whatever. And then those loans they receive, those deposits they receive, they use it to give out loans, and then they charge a higher interest. So the difference between what they charge and what they pay out is how they make money, and that is how you get your net interest income. And so, from this simple explanation, you can see that interest is very important, because this is essentially how they make money. With normal companies, when you are doing a DCF, you start with EBIT. You start with EBIT, and let's do it. So with a normal company, so a DCF, let's just quickly review a DCF. So a DCF is a valuation method whereby you are trying to estimate what? You are trying to estimate the present value of future cash flows, and you are trying to estimate the present value of a firm's terminal value. Then you sum up, so this plus this gives you what? Gives you the enterprise value of the company. This is very simplistic. Now, how do you get present value of future cash flows? To get present value of future cash flows, you have to get, what you do ideally is you forecast your income statement. So you forecast it over a period of say 5 years. Yeah? And then you come up with your free cash flows for each of those years. Now, what is free cash flow? So if free cash flow is like the cash flow that is available after the business has taken care of like its basic necessities. So the business has paid salaries, the business has accounted for capital expenditures, working capital, it has paid all of that. What amount is left? That amount is what we call the free cash flow. So for a DCF analysis, you need to understand how to get the free cash flow. So basically, when we are forecasting the income statement, all we are trying to do is to get what? The free cash flow. So how do you get your free cash flow? Sorry. You start with your EBIT. Your EBIT is what? Earnings before interest and tax. And then you do what? You subtract your tax. So tax on EBIT. And then that gives you what? That gives you a net operating, that gives you no plat. Net operating profit and loss after tax. And then you do what? You add your non-cash charges. So non-cash charges would include depreciation, would include amortization, and any other non-cash. You subtract capital expenditure, capex. You subtract increase, you subtract changes in working capital, and then you get your free cash flow. Now this free cash flow is what we are going to, so if this is year 1 of our forecast period, there'll be year 2, so ideally you use 5 years, there'll be year 3, there'll be year 4, there'll be year 5. So we are going to forecast free cash flows for each of these years. So this is free cash flow, FCF, year 1, FCF, FCF, and FCF. So we're going to forecast for each of these years, and then we get our free cash flows. Now when you get your free cash flows, what do? Usually you discount, so the definition, or what we are essentially trying to do is to get the present value of what? Future cash flows. Now we forecasted future cash flows. Now how do we get the present value of this future cash flows? We need a discount rate. The discount rate is usually WACC. We went into the mechanics of WACC the other time. So free cash flow 1, free cash flow 2, free cash flow 3, free cash flow 4, free cash flow 5. Free cash flow 1 over 1 plus WACC, which is the discount rate, raised to power, what year is this? Year 1. We do the same thing, 1 plus R raised to power 2, 1 plus R raised to power 3, 1 plus R raised to power 4, 1 plus R raised to power 5. And then by the time you discount cash flows, free cash flows for each of these years, you get the present value of each of the cash flows, present value of cash flows for year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. So when you get the present value of cash flows for each of the forecast period, you sum them up. So present value of cash flows 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. That gives you what? That gives you the present value of what future cash flows. Happy? So now you have one part of the equation. Now the next part is what? Present value of terminal value. Now how do you get a terminal value? You said there are two methods. You have the Gordon's growth method, Gordon's growth model, and you have multiple method. So the Gordon's growth model, there's a formula. So I think the formula is free cash flow of year 5 into bracket 1 plus growth rate over discount rate K minus growth rate. So this gives you your terminal value. So ideally, where's our free cash flow for 5? So our free cash flow for year 5, we pick it up, we put it here. We grow it by we grow this free cash flow by growth rate. Ideally, that growth rate should be greater than inflation. So greater than inflation, and then less than or equal to the nominal GDP growth rate. Exactly. Nominal GDP growth rate, exactly. So we grow that cash flow by it. So you're pretty much growing it into perpetuity. And then discount rate minus the growth rate. So what this is doing is so you're trying to get a terminal value. So yeah, discount rate minus growth rate. And then this calculation gives you a terminal value. Now we need the present value of this terminal value, because we're trying to value this company, say 100 years into the future now. So we need the present value of its terminal value now. So you discount this also by 1 plus the growth discount rate raised to power 5. And then you get the present value of terminal value. So when you get the present value of terminal value, you add it to this, and then get your enterprise value. Now, why won't this all analogy and calculations, why won't it work for a bank? Why do you think this all stuff we just did, why do you think it won't work for a bank or an insurance company?
Like you mentioned, the interest.
Exactly. How did we get, and
I feel like the working capital, the working capital of the bank is typically not as normal. It's not as normal one to have other companies.
okay.
Because obviously the assets are not as same as the other companies, like things like cash, and all about this stuff. You look at products, current assets, and all about products for bank.
Okay, exactly. So if you see, how did we come about our free cash flows? We came about free cash flows with what? We started with what? EBIT, earnings before interest and tax. You can't use this metric to value a bank. So this is assuming, what this EBIT is assuming is that for a normal company, it makes more sense to do what? Get what it earns before you account for interest that it has paid and then interest that it has received. So what this is saying is that interest paid and interest received is not relevant, is not so significant. So we can exclude it and then use the earnings they have before interest and what? Tax. But from what we explained here, the little explanation we did, interest income and interest expense is relevant for a bank. interest income and interest expense, this is what drives a bank. This is how they make their money. So it is very, very fundamental to them. And as such, you can't use EBIT. You can't start with EBIT. So this all, you get your free cash flow, blah, 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 is flawed, like right from the very beginning. So this is why DCF won't make sense if you try to do it. How would you get the income? How would you get the income before interest and tax for a bank? You just be looking at their non-interest income, and then yeah, you pretty much be looking at their non-interest income. And trust me, their interest income is usually way like non-interest income is usually minuscule, very insignificant. So if you are trying to use this insignificant stuff to value a company, it makes no sense. Whatever value you get won't be reflective. Yeah, so they are, yeah, but maybe in the future it will grow. Yeah, there's that. But fundamentally, bank makes money by collecting your deposits and giving out loan. For now, we don't know how it will be in the future, but that is a huge chunk of how they make their money. And this doesn't all go well with that calculation. And also, because, like I said earlier, cash is quite different. So all these stuffs we get, where is it? So when we get our DCF, you get the present value of your future cash flows, you get the present value of your terminal value. The figure you get is what? The enterprise value. And how do you get your enterprise value? Enterprise value is what? Equity value plus debt minus cash. Cash is usually very significant in banks because of the cash reserve ratio. So the central bank mandates that banks keep, for Nigeria, I think it's 22.5%. So the central bank mandates that if a bank has 100 million in assets, it should keep 22.5% of that 100 million in cash or near cash, so they can meet their their liquidity needs and what have you. No, this is even cash, just cash. Cash reserve ratio is 22.5. There's also liquidity ratio. I think liquidity ratio is 30% or something. So liquidity ratio would mean you keep 30% of your assets in cash or near cash. So near cash can be treasury bills, no commercial papers, no. Banks usually borrow themselves money, so you can count that as an asset. So if you're valuing a bank, capital adequacy ratio is quite important. So capital adequacy ratio, so with banks there's something called tier 1 capital, and then there's tier 2 capital, tier 1 capital, tier 2 capital, total capital, tier 1 capital, total capital. So logically, total capital will be the summation of this. There's also something called risk-weighted assets, and then there's also something else. It's possible, but usually not. So there's something called risk-weighted assets. Yes, so you have, so for your risk-weighted assets, ideally your risk, so you have risk weights. You have risk weights. You also, with banks, you also have off-balance sheet items. Off-balance sheet items. So the way this works is, banks are mandated to keep, they're mandated to have like tier 1 capital, tier 2 capital. So tier 1 capital is basically ordinary share capital and their preference share capital. So you have tier 1 capital, you have ordinary share capital, or ordinary share capital, and then you have preference share capital. So you're adding this, you subtract goodwill from this, you subtract some intangibles, most intangibles from this, and that gives you your tier 1 capital. For your tier 2 capital, you'd have convertibles. What else would you have under tier 2 capital? Say subordinated debt. All those kind of fancy stuff under tier 2 capital. So the whole idea of tier 1 capital is you're a bank. You give out, customers deposit money with you and you give out loans. You need to have a capital base that can meet any liquidity event. So if customers want to come and withdraw their money, the central bank of the country would want to make sure that each bank has enough. So tier 1 capital serves as a sort of buffer, and they are usually minimum capital requirements. So I think Nigeria's minimum tier 1 capital requirements is, I'm not sure, I think 15% or so. And this minimum capital requirement also drives businesses, because the way it works is that your tier 1 capital determines your what they call this stuff. So this is the minimum capital requirement, Abby. So your tier 1 capital, you could have your tier 1 capital adequacy ratio of say 20%. What this means is the central bank has stipulated that in tier 1 capital, meaning your ordinary share capital, your preference share capital, must not go below 15% of your total capital. So if your tier 1 capital is higher than that, it simply means you can give out more loans. You can give out more loans, basically. So the whole idea behind like tier 1 capital, tier 2 capital is to make sure that banks are well capitalized. If banks are not well capitalized, if there's a run on a bank, this is where all these capital ratios come in. So a bank run could be, maybe a news just broke on Sahara that First Bank, something happened to First Bank, or like foreign hackers hacked First Bank, they are like siphoning money. What do you think every First Bank account owner would do? They start withdrawing. ATM, if it's 1 naira you have the ATM, you go. If it's 1,000, let me withdraw it. Half credit is better than none. So you have lots of people going to withdraw their money. And you know the way a bank works? A bank works with money. So a bank needs your money to make loans and then generate revenue from the loans, and then they pay you an interest. In a scenario where there are no deposits, where everybody now wants to start withdrawing, that creates a problem for the bank, because the bank no longer has a source of income, because they use your deposits to make money. And when people start requesting for their money, where do you think they get the money to pay customers? From their capital, from their tier 1 capital, not even tier 2. So it's tier 1 is very important in the sense that if you have enough tier 1 capital, you don't even need to bother going to your tier 2 capital. So companies that are well capitalized from a tier 1 capital point of view are usually stronger. That's why you have all these top 5 banks: Fugas, First Bank, Access, Zenith, there's a UBA. Yeah, they're like tier 1 banks. Why are they tier 1 banks? Because their capital adequacy ratio is higher than like other banks. If anything happens, they are well capitalized enough to like absorb it. For other banks,
What's the difference between the capital adequacy ratio and solvency?
so solvency ratio is solvency. So how do you get solvency ratio? Solvency ideally has to do with the ability of a bank to like meet its long-term liability. So a bank obviously would have long-term liabilities. Take for example, people that put fixed deposits with a bank, say for 20 years, stuff like that. Those are like long-term liabilities. So you get your solvency ratio by, I think, dividing, I think,
about the solvency ratio, it talks about the ability of the bank to meet its liability generally. That means the ability to be a particular percentage of the bank's capital or something. So it seems kind of related to...
Yeah, it is actually, because the whole idea or the whole concept behind solvency is when people want their money, or when people want you to pay back the loan you owe them, you should be able to pay them. You should have a minimum ratio that signifies that yes, if people come and start asking you for their money, you can pay them. And that more or less goes in line with what capital adequacy ratio tier 1, tier 2 capital is talking about. And then risk-weighted assets, blah, blah, blah. You can read up on this. So the whole idea of this is that for each asset class or liabilities, usually assets, there's a risk weight that is assigned to it. So for, say for fixed assets, say for loans to other banks, there might be risk weight of say 2%, meaning it's not so risky, other banks will pay you. Loans to say the federal government in terms of in form of bonds, the risk weight would usually be lower. The more risky the assets on a bank's balance sheet, the higher the risk weight. And the way it works is you multiply the risk weight by the assets to get the risk-weighted assets. So you'd have total assets on a bank's balance sheet, yeah? Total assets made up of a number of assets on the bank. Each of those assets would have a risk weight. The risk weight is usually in percentage terms. So that risk weight, you multiply it by the asset value, it gives you the risk-weighted value of the asset. You sum that up, and then they're usually what we call off-balance sheet items. So these are like stuffs that the bank would rather not put on its balance sheet. And I think that was some of the reason, those were some of the things that caused like the global financial crisis. All these mortgage-backed obligations, what have you, banks were recording it as off-balance sheet items. So the whole essence of recording an asset as off-balance sheet or a liability as off-balance sheet is that if it's very, very risky, it's off-balance sheet. So when they're analyzing your company's financials, when they're calculating your capital adequacy ratio and what have you, it doesn't show up. So in that sense, you are sort of giving a false picture of how healthy you are as a bank. So lots of companies, they push stuffs under off-balance sheet items, but since like the financial crisis, like regulations are making it quite difficult for you to manipulate your way using off-balance sheet items. So what you ideally do is, after getting the risk-weighted assets of what you have on your balance sheet, you'd also get the risk-weighted asset of your off-balance sheet items. You add the two of them together, and you get your risk-weighted assets. What have you? So these terms, you can read up on them. Capital adequacy ratio, tier 1, capital tier 2, they are relevant for bank modeling. But I strongly there's a 90% chance they won't ask you all this for a bank. Unless, of course, you meet someone that most likely works in. Yeah, even during my time, the VP that interviewed me he works in financial institutions group and they work with banks. He didn't ask me any of it. They know you are they know you are in school or you are just finishing. You really don't know so much. So just to be on the safe side, just understand it at a very high level. So at least if they ask you, you won't just be like, oh, I don't know. You can at least say something. But nobody would really drill you on all this one. No, you don't know shit. What they usually talk to you about is DCF, walk me through a basic DCF model. You just did a basic DCF model. So that's what they ask you, walk me through a basic DCF model. And then I'll start picking each component of that DCF model and then they start questioning you. Stuff like WACC. They'll ask you, under WACC, what is the most complicated thing here? Cost of equity, exactly. Under cost of equity, that's when you now start asking you about beta. They start asking you what is unlevered beta and what is levered beta. How do you go from levered to unlevered and levered and unlevered to levered? I think this is the most complicated thing under beta. What else? What is unlevered beta? Did you just ask me unlevered beta? Are you serious? So what is beta essentially? So beta is more or less a proxy for a risk, the risk of a company related to the market. So unlevered beta is pretty much, how would I put it? Would I say it's a kind of, so unlevered beta would be the risk of a company neutral, the risk of a company neutral its capital structure. That's the way I could put it. And then levered beta is like the risk of an asset or the company taking into consideration its capital structure. So unlevered means you're making the riskiness of a company generic. I don't know if it makes sense, but that is the way to look at it. So levered means you factored in the capital structure of the company. So the riskiness of this company, if it's a levered beta, means this company is 1 point, if the beta is 2.5, it means this company is 2.5 times riskier than the market, given its capital structure, which is debt to equity. So debt is what pretty much makes a company risky. So if the company has no debts, the company is less risky. So risk, volatility, they are used interchangeably, but usually beta has to do with risk. How risky is your company? How volatile is your company related to the market? So these are the technical stuff they could ask you on that WACC. What other stuff do they ask you? So when you are getting your terminal value, if they want to go technical, they'll talk to you about Gordon's growth model. Where is it? So they talk to you about Gordon's growth model. They would ask you, how would you get your growth rate? Your growth rate is G. How would you get your growth rate? We said growth rate ideally should be greater than what? So growth rate ideally should be greater than inflation, and if you what, less than or equal to what? Your nominal GDP growth rate. Yeah. So, but what about a scenario whereby you are in a company, you are in a country whereby the inflation rate is so high? Take Nigeria for example. Our inflation rate is higher than our GDP growth rate. So what would you do? Yeah, exactly. That is a way to look at it. You now look at averages for that. So that is technical stuff they could ask you there. Multiples method usually is, so with the multiples method, you take for example the free cash flow. You take for example the year 5 free cash flow or the end of forecast period free cash flow, and then you apply it to a multiple. Now what multiple? So the multiple could be the EV to EBITDA, EV to EBITDA multiple. So that's the thing. So the thing is, they are usually, for industries, they are usually data providers that provide information on like exit multiples or terminal value multiples over a period of time. So ideally, you just pick the average and then apply it to your own company. They are usually like historical information on this, on terminal value multiples. Oh, okay. So there's a company that has a price to earnings of 10 times, and there's a company that has a price to earnings of 5 times. Which would you invest in? You guys want to try? A company has a company has a price to earnings of 10 times.
A company has a price to earnings. A company has a price to earnings of 10 times.
Okay.
While company has a price to earnings of 5 times. And actually this of the two.
Which would you invest in? Yeah.
That's a very, very subjective question, and it basically boils down to the kind of investor you are. So it's either you are a growth investor or you're a value investor. So the growth investors are people who do not mind paying so much to get future benefits or future returns for a future returns from a particular stock. So for all we know, the company will decide that if they are within the same industry, they could be overvalued. The market could be seeing that they are overvalued. Why? Because they might have a competitive advantage over other companies in the industry. So when you're comparing the price of the share and to the earnings they're going to get from that share, it could be too high. So with that particular consideration, you will be categorically considering yourself as a good investor. Then for the value investor, is the person who really does the analysis, the person who takes into consideration the fundamentals, the technicals in the company's books, and then kind of reads that value, like you mentioned, from Benjamin Graham's Value Investor, a book written by Benjamin Graham. Yeah, so we talked about the fact that you have to like be you're buying based on value. You're not going to buy more or less. You're not going to buy more. You're not going to pay more to earn whatever. You're just looking. So that's what I thought.
Who else wants to try?
What's the question now?
Which would you invest in? A company with a price earnings of 10 times, a company with a price earnings of 5 times.
I would say all other things being equal, that if they are the same, if they are the same, what do you call it now? Earnings per share, then I would say I would go with the guy with 5 times earnings, because what's telling basically is that maybe after 5 profit reporting period, I'll be getting the funds that are used to purchase the stock back. And basically, like you said, we have the types of investors. We have the growth investors and we have the value investors. The value investors there will assume that the price to the stock of the 5 times PE ratio, that stock is undervalued, and you will probably purchase the stock of that time, hoping that okay, within a very short period of time, it will recoup and the price will increase. And after increasing, you hope that okay, the exit the market, taking the spread. And for a growth investor will assume that for the price earning ratio of this tend to be this high, it means that the market has fairly valued it at that particular amount, because it feels that it is growing at a particular rate which is higher than the one for this PE, 5 times PE. So it still boils down to the kind of investor the person is. But everything is being equal here, I would go for the
5 times. Okay. Who else wants to try? Everybody has to try. Yeah, everybody has to try. Even you that asked the question, you need to try. Yeah. Who wants to give it a shot? Money. Why? Obviously, you don't tell them in the interview that I'll go for the 5x. You tell them. You have to tell them why.
Day-to-day interest. The same activity covers both of them.
Okay.
So we find the P ratio of 5x is increased. And when reality does is 1% extra, then is there, it might not go up, but there's everything that can actually reduce. So
Who's next? Alaja. Oh yes, say it again. Say it again. I want to hear it again.
okay, so the thing is the company is private, like I will go for one investor. So usually that we are doing that the company is private is undervalued and I payment is going back. So exactly the person is private and
Okay. Well, what's your name? Okay.
see that for we are high school.
Okay.
Private
Okay.
started doing the things.
Okay.
Company can have the high points. They have one, you get the company school. The market is you have
Okay.
there are many reasons why
Okay.
these are so.
Okay.
According to what you were saying, different types of investment, you can take it.
Exactly. So that's like how you just attempt that question. But it depends on what type of investor you ask the question. So you just, that's the thing, just show your confidence, tell them it depends on what type of investor I am. So if I'm a value investor, I'll go for this. If I'm a growth investor or something like that, you go for this. This means it is cheaper. It means that for every, so this is price to earnings ratio. So this is 5 times earnings. So for every 5 naira pay for this company. You get, so one earnings equals 5 times the price. For this, you are paying more to get earnings. So you're paying 10 naira to get one earnings, 1 naira. That's simply what it means. So this one makes more sense. You're paying 5 naira to get 1 naira in earnings. So you're paying 10 naira to make 1 naira. That's what makes it expensive and cheap. This is cheaper because you're paying less to get the same. This you're paying more to get 1 naira of value. But then, like you said, you can also defend it. I'm paying more for this, or this one is telling me that it's more expensive. It could be because of different factors, like you mentioned. Maybe they just released their financials and then they did so well, they beat expectation. You know what drives this ratio? Share price and earnings per share. If they release their financials and they did so well, their share price obviously will go so up, it will go higher. And if the share price goes higher, this multiple will go higher because you're dividing the multiple by the earnings. And this earnings is usually historical, earnings per share. So this one won't change, but this will change. So if this goes up and this remains the same, it technically means this will go up. So for that reason, this might be more expensive than this. Another reason this could be more expensive is, well, maybe because they're the market leader, they have innovative technologies, what have you, that this does not have. So long term, this one to do well because they are investing in technology, they are very innovative, they are leading the market, and as such, you'll be willing to pay 2 times what you pay for this. Another reason could be, oh, this company just won a massive ruling. Take for example, there was this litigation on their head whereby if they had lost it, it would have cost them, say, 10 billion naira, and the company's revenue annually is 20 billion. So that's 50% of their revenue would have gone down the drain if they lost it. And because of that litigation hanging over their head, their share price has been subdued. By the time that court judgment comes out, oh, you guys are acquitted, you guys can leave, you'd expect the market to react. Price will definitely go up. And in this scenario, it will be more expensive, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this company, you'd invest in this than this. It just depends on how you defend. So that's a good way to answer that question. All right. Which one is that? Oh, look at. Well, the market is rational, kind of. Yeah, if it goes so up, obviously, like there are people that are waiting for it to go so up, and their own job is just to wait and sell it when it's coming down. So that's just it. But at that point in time, given the information you have, you pick this for this reason, you could pick that for that other reason. So. Value driver method of what? I don't know what that is. So value driver method for calculating terminal value. What does that mean? What does that involve? Okay. Okay. So the value driver method, what does it involve? Okay. Yeah, no problem. I'm also learning. So. Okay.
Take account for the fact that, well, I don't really know if I was, according to Jane, I don't know, but if people have the same, well, I guess you just do it. I don't know.
Okay.
I'd like to say something about the value.
Okay.
So when I saw it too, I saw something like, they say one of the defects of calculating terminal value using the Gordon's model is that it assumes that the company that will forecasted the company's free cash flow into the future without actually accounting for the fact that they have to the growth of the company will cost a certain amount of money, like maybe money or something. So what they're trying to say is that for the dividend discount model for calculating terminal value, we assume that okay, the company is growing, but we are not paying for the growth of that company. So they now like restructured it and they introduced the value driver model, which now accounts for payment cost of growth in the organization. I don't have the notes here now.
All of you don't have the notes. You are telling me if you mention this in an interview and then I'm pressing you for more information, you tell me, sorry, I can't. You tell me, let me check my phone. I can't remember. Advice: if you want to talk about it, you need to know everything you need to know about it, because chances are the person also knows about it. And now that you're trying to show that you're smart, is going to want to prove that you're smart, and then you go and shoot yourself in the foot. So if you want to mention something extra that nobody would mention, obviously, it's a nice thing if you actually can talk about it. But best to keep it simple. Simple work for me. Simple work for a number of people I know. So just keep it simple. Okay. Oh, you applied last year? Are you serious? Oh, third is the lucky. How did they say? Third is the lucky number. Who was your friend? Oh, I hear Madu. She'll be back on Monday. Yeah, we are colleagues. Oh, that's nice. Victoria. So what division did you apply to last year? IBD. First time. No, first time. What did you apply to? Also, first time IB. Okay, you're just like, let's just check out. It might work, it might not work. You just go to London like that. Exactly. Okay.
The company buys a machine
Okay. Okay. So cost is what? 50 million. Useful life, 5 years. Sales, third year, 20 million. Straight line method. Okay. We need to have scrap value. So you'd have asked them to show him that you know what you're saying. You'd ask them, should we assume that there is no scrap value? Okay, so scrap value is 0. So this is actually simple. You just have to find the net book value of the asset as at the point in time when they bought it, and then you subtract it. He asks you to do what? The effect on, wow. Okay, so the effect on the financial statement. So first off, you don't calculate like the depreciation. Cost is, so straight line method is what? Cost over, cost minus scrap value. So in this case, 15 million over useful life, 5. So this is depreciation of what? 10 every year. So year 1, so this is year, so year 1, cost is what? 15 million, Abi. So this is year, this is cost, this is depreciation, this is net book value. So year 1, cost is what? 50, depreciation is what? 10, net book value is what? 40. Year 2, cost is what? 40, depreciation is what? 10, net book value 30. Year what? 3, cost is what? 30, depreciation is what? 10, and then net book value is what? 20. You sold it for how much? 20 million. So as at the point in time when they sold this asset, so on the balance sheet, this asset would have been reflected as. Yeah, I think Victoria too called me. Something like this. You gave her the, oh, you're the one that gave her the dubs, no one that she called. Second round phone interview. So the person that took you accounting is meant to have touched this. So on the balance sheet as at the 3rd year, this is what the value of the asset would be. This is the carrying value, 20 million. They're now telling you that you sold that asset for what? 20 million. So ideally what I advise, or how I advise you approach this question is you look at the effect on the income statement, you look at the effect on the cash flow statement, and then you look at the balance sheet to more or less balance it. You know, this, now the said, so income statement, what do you think could happen? So the carrying value is what? Sales is what? 20 million. Carrying value is what? 20 million. Is there any profit on this sale? So 0. So do you think there'll be any effect on the income statement? No, none that I'm aware of. So if they say, okay, so let's make this 10. Okay, yeah. So there's no profit on sale. So the income statement is affected, the profit and loss statement is affected by profit, gain on disposal of assets. There's none here, so it's zero. So the income statement is not affected. Now let's go to the cash flow statement. Cash flow from operations, is there anything that would affect, that will be affected there? I don't think. No, we are treating, it's third year you'd try and check. So you know you check your financial statements yearly now. So we want to look at the effect of this transaction, which is a sale in the third year on the income, on the financial statement. So income statement, nothing, because there's no profit or loss on sale of this asset. Cash flow statement, cash flow from operations, I don't think there's anything there. Cash flow from financing, nothing. So cash flow from investing, there'll be something. Cash flow from investing, now there's disposal of assets. Disposal of asset of what? 20. So this cash flow is going down by what? No, it's going up by what? 20. Abi? Is there any other effects? I don't think there's any other effect on the cash flow statement. Financing, none. Cash flow from operations. If there's a gain now, if there's a gain or loss on sale of investment, it will have affected operations. So if there's a gain, you subtract. If there's a loss, you had, because you're assuming that this is not a normal business activity. You want to get the cash flow for a normal business. So normally, it's not every day a company will sell. So that is why it was. Yes.
Sometimes it's not another treatment on
Yeah, true. True. That's a good point. Now back to this one. Cash flow from investing is what? Is up by 20. There's nothing affecting financing. So in total, the effect on the cash flow statement is cash flow is going up by what? 20. Now let's see if this balances on the balance sheet. So balance sheet, what would cash flow is going up by 20, meaning cash is going up by what? By 20, Abby. Cash is going up by assets. Cash is an asset, it's going up by 20. The asset is being reduced by how much? What's the carrying value? 20. So asset is also going down by 20. So net effect is what? Nil. It didn't affect the income statement, so nothing will be affected in the shareholders' equity. So if they ask you that question, this is basically what they want you to say. So you tell them that, so this is how you structure it. Oh, so the very first thing I'll do is to get the depreciation. You've given me the cost as 50 million, you've given me the useful life. He didn't give you the scrap value. So you ask him, did I assume that the scrap value is nil? If so, it means depreciation for each year would be 15, so cost minus scrap value over useful life. 50 million over useful life, 5 years, gives me 10 million as depreciation figure. So all I'm trying to do right now is to get the carrying value of that asset as at the year it was sold. And to get that, I have to start from like year one. So year one, the assets cost 50 million, depreciation was 10 million, the carrying value was 40. Second year, 40, 10, 30. Third year that it was sold, the cost was 30, depreciation 10, and then the carrying value was 20. The asset was sold for what? 20 million. And the carrying value as at that point in time was 20 million. This simply means that there was no gain or loss on this disposal of assets. As such, I don't feel there will be any impact on the income statement. So we're going to read the income statement and then move over to the cash flow statements. This transaction is not going to affect the cash flow from operations. So we're going to look at the cash flow from investing. So under cash flow from investing, this is a disposal. This will affect it. So if you're disposing an asset, you're receiving cash of 20 million. So cash flow from investing is up by 20 million. You don't feel there is any other impact on the cash flow statement. So overall, the cash flow statement is up by 20 million. Now let's move over to the balance sheet. So the balance sheet, cash is up by 20 million, meaning on the cash section under assets, cash should be up by what? 20 million. But you're also disposing an asset, so you're taking that out of the net book value of the asset, which goes down by what? 20. The net effect is 0. There is no other impact on the other side of the accounting equation, which is shareholders' equity and liability. So in all, there is like this transaction has no impact whatsoever, kind of, yeah, on the balance sheet. So, and that's all. Thank you. So it was a gain. So now let's say that let's say this asset was sold for 10 million. So this asset was sold for 10 million. Oh, this is interesting. So this will no, it's a gain. Oh, sorry, so 30 million, sorry. So let's say this asset was sold for 30 million. This is going to be very interesting. So if this asset was sold for 30 million, this simply means that what? There is a gain on disposal. Abi? So there is a gain of so we've agreed that the carrying value is what? 20 million. Sales of what? 30 million. Gain on disposal 10 million. Now remember, always remember, you start with your income statement, you move over to your cash flow statement, and then you round it up with your balance sheet. So now let's see. So there's gain on disposal. So that gain means it's going to affect the income statement. So gain on disposal 10 million simply means that your profit before your profit before tax would be up by what? 10 million. Abi? Now let's assume a tax rate of what? Assume a tax rate of 40%. It simply means that your net income would be up by what? 60 by 6 million. Thanks. So net income is up by 6 million. This is the effect of that transaction on the income statement. Now let's move over to the cash flow statement. So cash flow from operations, net income is up by what? Net income is up by 6 million. Abi? Now this is a gain on disposal of assets. So for gains on disposal of assets, you subtract, because it's not a normal business activity. So we are trying to strip that out. So you subtract, meaning cash goes down by what? 6 million. So the net effect on cash flow from operations is what? Nil. Is there any other effect on the cash flow statement?
Sorry, your gain is 10.
Yeah, so the gain is 10, but remember we factored in tax. We factored in the tax rate. So you're not going to take profit before tax to your cash flow statement. What you take is your net income. And to get to net income, you have to factor in tax. That's why the after-tax effect of this gain on disposal of assets is 6 million. So you bring that to your cash flow from operations. The first item is usually net income. Net income is up by 6 million. But, okay, so I get what people are saying. Gain on disposal of assets is what? 10 million. Again, you subtract it. So that is going down by what? 10 million. So the net effect is that cash flow from operation is down by what? 4 million. Now let's move over to cash. It doesn't affect financing. So cash flow from investing. So this is cash flow from operations, cash flow from investing. Disposal of assets, what is entering your 30 million? So cash flow from operation is going up by what? 30 million. Net effect is what? Plus 30 minus 4. That is plus 26 million. So the net effect on your cash flow statement is that cash is going up by 26 million. And let's see what our calculation is correct. Move over to the balance sheet. Assets is going down by how much? The current value is 20 million. So PPE is down by what? 20 million. Abi? Cash is up by what? 26. Net effect is what? Cash is up by 6. So your shareholders equity and liabilities. What feeds into shareholders equity and liabilities? You have something called retained earnings, Abi? It's a component of shareholders equity, retained earnings. And then we had net income going up by how much? So retained earnings is going up by what? 6 million. So this side of the assets equals to equity plus liability. Whatever happens here must find a way of happening here. Assets increased by what? 6 million. What happened here? Retained earnings increased by what? 6 million. So our calculation is what? So that is why it's always good to start with income statement, move over to cash flow, and then your balance sheet to confirm if you've done nonsense and ingredients or you've done something correctly. It could be possible. I think so. But the whole idea of doing it this way is to make sure you are not, like, to show you whether you're wrong or right. So ideally, if you get it right, you should balance. And if it balances, the interviewer is not going to be, I'm very sure, he won't be paying attention to the detail. All he wants to hear is this goes up by this goes up by this, balance. So this is how you treat it if it was a gain. If it was a loss, same thing, same analogy applies. So yeah, this question is very, very testable because there was a guy that was interviewing, he interviewed almost everybody at second round. Like, what's his name again? I think he said the guy has a CFA or something, so he was very, very technical. He asked them about like basic accounts. So this is accounting, relationship between accounting, the accounting statement. So this is very, very important. Like you guys need lots of practice on how to answer. The typical one I used to tell you guys is what if debt goes up, depreciation goes up. Okay, they could ask you like a totally different one, something like this now, like disposal of an asset. They could also ask you if they buy inventory on credit or with cash, something like that. If you have it, you have a basic understanding of how like the income statement works, how the balance sheet works, how the cash flow works, you should be fine. But most of the time, it's either that depreciation question or you buying an asset. Now they could tell you that, yes, there's another one. They could tell you that they bought an asset by taking debt. What is the effect on the key financial statement? Who wants to try? So let me give an analogy. So someone should come and walk me through how. So purchased a motor van for 5,000 naira. For 5,000 naira. Useful life. And so now it's like depreciation is at 20%. This is the depreciation rate. So someone should come and walk me through the effect of this transaction on the 3 financial statements in year 1, beginning of year 1 and year 2. So this is year 1, this is year 2. Yeah, these are even very, very nice questions. Oh, you are complaining. You are going to bank modeling now, do? This is where they kill you. When you can't answer this, they won't bother taking you to financial institution model. So who wants to try? See how simple it is. Purchase the motor van for 5,000 naira. Let me make it complicated. Purchase the motor van for 5,000 naira with debt. I want to make it more complicated. I can tell you this debt will be repaid in year 3. So walk me through how it affects it. walk me through how it affects the financial statements in year 1. So beginning of year 1. So this is beginning of year 1. And then year 2. This is end of year 2. So who wants to try? Oh yeah. Hey, come and try on the board. Year 2 is not right. Year 1 is easier. We don't run it together. You stood up. Every man for himself. You don't run it together when they're interviewing you.
Okay, so you're purchasing a motor van for 5,000 naira with debt. So what's the debt of 5,000 naira? Is there interest on the debt or not?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Let's make it technical. So interest on debt is 10%.
Okay.
Per annum.
So if we're having 10% interest on debt, at the beginning of year 1, there will be no changes. There will be no changes. Alright. There will be no changes on the structure. So for the income statement, at the beginning of year 1, there will be no changes on the income statement. There will be basically no changes on the face of debt. Who are doing it? Oh, I'm on my own. Very good. There will be no changes on any of the things this month. So at the end of year 1,
What makes you think so? You purchase a motor van. So that's an asset. No, nobody should talk. It's meant to.
The cash flow.
On income statement. Mm.
And at the beginning of the year one, it's not affect the income statement, but the cash flow will affect it. You're bringing the cash to back.
So that is, but in the day you think the business, it's not reflected.
That's balance sheet at a particular time, not at the end of the year. At that time you buy,
If you buy at the beginning of the year,
you don't know
we don't
teacher.
I guess you.
No, but don't you show at the beginning,
No, the open the foundation that is both it now. So like at that beginning, that means they bought everything.
Let me just finish and you are settled. So at the beginning of the year, no changes in all at the beginning. At the end of year one, right? So for the income statement, there's going to be 20% of 500 is going to be 1,000 naira, right? And it's going to be 1,000 naira. So for the income statement, there's going to be depreciation is going to be up. Your profit before tax is going to be down by 1,000 naira. And then let's assume a tax rate of 40%. It means that all in all, your income statement is going to be down by 600 naira, right? So this moves automatically to me. Okay, so this is this here for depreciation. Also, for the interest you are going to pay, interest you are going to pay on the debt is going to basically be 10% of 5,000 naira, which is going to be 500. Tax rate of 40%. A 40% tax rate. We're going to have what? That's going to be what? 200. 200 tax. Yeah, so we're going to have the taking our profit before tax down by an additional 300 naira. Right? So profit after tax by down by 300 naira. So all in all, in year one, our profit before tax is down by what? 900. Profit after tax is down by 900, so supposed to be debt and debt. Right? So taking this straight to the cash flow statement, our net income at the top is what? Is down by 900 naira. Okay? So yes, total interest are paid and normal distribution. Yes. So we're going to add back to the distribution automatically. So our distribution is what? 1,000. So this is adding back, so because it's yeah. So what do we use interest now? You pay interest. Yeah, the cash item. So
This is cash from occupation value.
yes. I think just the interest of it is not financing. This one is not up to 100. Up by 100. The tax goes on financing. I think the interest, it goes either with anyone. It can actually come here or it can come here. But left or right, I've done it here. Yeah. The next week you will get here. No. Cash flows from financing. The whole debt is going to appear. No, the financing is the financing. They are paying interest. It's going out. Let's just finish first.
No. I want to assess you. If you are correct, the balance sheet to balance. So that's your check. If you've done nonsense, it won't.
Oh, okay. So I think these people are very yes. They want to get right on that.
Was it a phone interview or face to face?
So one was like,
Video. Okay. Okay. Makes sense.
So just it was 5,000. Yes, so the tax instrument is an increase. Yes, paying into the company, we were having to give us the increase. Then the interest you are paying is supposed to be from here, but it won't affect
I
the
know.
end. It won't affect the end. The interest is going to be payment. Payment of what? 500. So it's going to be what? Minus 4, 4, 4. 4, 4. Right? It's going to be 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.
let's do, maybe the work about the last couple of times.
On that was 4, 5.
That's good.
4, 5, 4.
You see,
Yes, but this one, everything is something. Am I?
what is happening with that thing? What is happening with that?
Yes, there was. If you have added this 5,000,
Yeah.
you want to add 5,000 in investment.
Investors.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You invest it on
But you go out, you go out. So in the tax rate of investment, you're going to have net asset immediately. That's all. So this one is down, this one. That is down from the business is down, all 600.
Down.
Down 100. Down 400, right? So for tax rate treatment, so for the balance, your let's start from assets. So your assets, you have the cash, cost of course, down 400, and you have PPE of 500. 5,000. Is that coming to you? Let's not take
Yes,
it.
yes.
Have to be there.
Subtract it.
Yeah, from the, you have the NDV. That would be what, 1,000. That would give you what? Is it all for assets?
It's up there.
Just the up, like, yeah, I'm already in my own school, I don't forget the up and that. Finish it. Then, for you, this is for year one, yes. Then, what else do we have? We have our equity. So for equity, we're going to have net retained earnings. What's our retained earnings? Retained earnings is what? -900. It's coming in here, and then what else do we have there? Just plus 5,000. What's the difference? I think it's not the balance item.
Did you balance?
I don't think so.
Okay.
What would you do? You pay it first. Is it that this is long? This is sum of the body cost. You're not going to pay this later. So this debt is still there. Unless you are taking it out like annually, so fast that you can pay your loan. What's the agreement of the loan?
When you go 500,
It's with
Is that 10% and interest? Is it 10% and interest?
interest, yeah. Just
Or
interest.
is it
Interest,
year of
interest.
loan?
You pay the loan later. Maybe in year 5 or something, but just the year one.
They are not thinking.
see, when you go 500,
Oh, that's what I'm looking for
yeah, so
actually.
you have to put it in balance.
That means not supposed to be out of here then. No.
You're looking for what are you looking for?
500.
Yeah. I don't know what you do.
That's the thing I'm missing.
10% of 5,000 is 500. So what did you do? So at least you know the figure you're looking for. So it has to do with interest or something like that.
But that means you can't just say that that's an interest. It's like you don't be
No,
doing it.
you can't.
You can, I know, but what control you affect? Yes.
Yeah, so you've not walked us through it affects. What happened? We've tried. So who wants to try? Who wants to take it from there?
Maybe
Who wants to was all of you? None of you get bamboo. So you guys should take it as like an exercise. Try and do it at home. No, I'm serious. I just came up with that stuff. I don't even know if it's correct or not.
No, you have to correct it.
Let me see. So income statement beginning year. So because it's the beginning of the year, there won't be depreciation, there won't be interest on debt. End of year 1. Interest. Depreciation is what? How many years? How did you get your? Okay, I just give 10%. Okay, 10% of that. That's 1,000. So yes.
that's what people do. The value of the loan cannot be 5,000. It will be paid off. It's exactly.
What did you pay here? Is this your income statement?
Yeah.
Like everything here?
Yes. After tax of the reduction.
Where's your interest on the loan? Yes, I don't understand. So this is what? This is depreciation.
1,000.
And then why are you doing after tax effects of depreciation? So you do depreciation. Depreciation will be under your operating expenses, and then from there you get your earnings before interest and tax. So your earnings before interest and tax, you deduct your interest payments, and when you deduct your interest payments, you now tax that. So when you tax that, you now get.
That is not like a whole sum.
Yeah. So even if it's an effect, that's the same way you work with it. So let's see. So this is what. So depreciation is 1,000, Abi. So operating expenses is what? Up by 1,000. And then so that's that, and then there's what?
500 off with it.
500 for what?
And then
Yes, this is depreciation. Depreciation and interest expense. Those are the two things that are affecting the income statement. So operating expenses is up by what? 1,000. 1,000. And then you come to earnings before. So earnings before interest and tax is up by 1,000. And then after earnings before interest and tax, you have what? So interest is what? 500. So the net effect is that earnings before tax is up by 500. So if earnings before tax is up by 500, what is the after tax effect of this? The after tax effect of this is that net income is up by 300.
Come again with that.
Is that what you got?
You all was down. Come again.
It's up by 300. So earnings before, this is operating expenses is up 1,000. Yep. And then operating expense gives you what? So operating expense is up blah 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 blah. So if operating expense is up 1,000, it means your earnings before interest and tax is up by 1,000. So if earnings before interest and tax is up by 1,000, you deduct what from earnings before interest and tax? You deduct interest. If interest is up by 500, it simply means the net effect is that your earnings before tax is up by 500. So if you assume a tax rate of 40%, your after tax effect of what we just did now is 300. So it's up by 300. Net income is up by 300. Your earnings before tax is up by 500. So if there's no tax, your earnings before tax is up. So how do you get earnings before tax? Your earnings before tax is your.
Where are you getting that from?
Where are you getting what from? You have your, what is this?
They're subtracting depreciation
from your already existing operating. You are adding it to it. You are adding it to it.
you add it on the cash statement.
You did what?
This is the income statement. The income statement, depreciation is going down now. Subtracting depreciation, not adding it.
Depreciation is going up. That's why. Did your stock balance?
This is what we talk about. Wait, this is what we talk about. This is our profit before tax. This is profit before tax.
Okay.
So on its own, it's going down by 1,000.
This can be profit before tax when you still have interest somewhere here.
I understand, yes. What I'm saying is that
This can be profit before tax. So your depreciation is part of your operating expenses.
The operating expenses.
Yes, operating expenses is going up by the amount of depreciation going up. That's why anytime I give you guys that stuff, depreciation went up by $100. How would they affect? This is what is confusing in all this thing. It's not like it's difficult. Yeah. So in the next one. So if depreciation is going up by 1,000, your operating expense is going up by what? 1,000. That is operating expense. Now, if operating expense is going up by 1,000, so operating expense, and then you have what? Earnings before interest and tax. Abi? So what this means is earnings before interest and tax is going up or going down now? So if your operating expense is going up by 1,000, EBIT is going down by 1,000. So if EBIT is going down by what? 1,000, Abi? So if EBIT is going down by 1,000, and then this is depreciation. Interest, okay, so interest is going up by what? 500. So the net effect is what? That's why this thing is very confusing.
That means total of 1,500.
Sure. So interest is going up by what? 500, and then this is what? This is earnings. This is earnings before interest and tax. Going down by what? 1,000. So going down by 1,000, going up by 500. What is the net effect? Going down by 500. So this is earnings before tax. What's the after tax effect of this? Going down by what? 300. That was what you got, Abi? Abi? That was what you got. So net income, the change there now is, so we've established. You guys do this in your accounting class? Oh. Okay, so net income is, we've established for the first year, net income is going down by what? 300. So let's stick with what we know best. Now we move to the cash flow statement. So cash flow statement, net income down 300. Abi? Now what are the non-cash expense? You add back depreciation. Depreciation up what? 1,000. So net effect. Yeah, so that's, why is what? Yeah, not really. Okay.
You said earnings before interest and tax.
Okay.
It's down by 1,000. Abi? And then there's not an interest that's increased by 500.
So earnings before interest and tax is down what? 1,000. And depreciation is what? Up. Interest rather is up what? 500. What is the net effect? This is minus 100. This is plus 500. What is the net effect? So for questions like this is what you want to pay attention to. Down this, up this, minus this, plus this. What is the net effect? Because if you look at it, we're always saying net income. By the time we get to net income, we say net income is up 100, and then we move to our cash flow statement. We don't say our cash flows. We don't say our net income is 300. We say down or up, because that is how you get the net effect, and that is how you get the change. So you have to pay attention to that.
Wait, sorry. What if we now have you can add figures on top? Like let's add 10,000 naira on top and you know.
10,000 on top.
Yeah.
What? 10,000 on top what?
This means that if you are using down off, let's just add 10,000 and just add it down off to it.
I don't understand.
Let's not use up down. Let's use a figure and then.
Oh, okay.
add the
So the
position.
thing is, let me see. Okay, so okay, this is what this is not depreciation. This is earnings before. So this logic can't work. Using an actual figure won't work. Okay. If we'd have to write down the line item, that means you need revenue. You need all those others. Just from so you're assuming what? What are we assuming? We're assuming what? So we're assuming depreciation is now we're using goes up. You don't want goes up. That's the thing. You don't want goes up.
Let's take it for that's like already existing figure.
Yeah, you knowing like the change also we are saying depreciation increased by this. Don't mess up yourself. Interviews are how many weeks away? Don't mess your head up right now. Just one attempt this question at all. Okay, let's see. So we said what? We said ours is what? Okay, so net income, depreciation is what? Up by 1,000. So the net effect of cash flow from operations. So this is CFO is what? So this is up 700. This is at the end of year one, Abby. Now let's take cash flow from what? Which one? Let's take cash flow from investing. So cash flow from investing, PPE. We bought a what? We bought a motor van. What? 5,000. So PPE is what? Up or down 5,000? Down 5,000 because cash flow went out. So down 5,000, Abby. Is there any other thing that affects? So this is so cash flow from investing is what? Is down 5,000. Now cash flow from financing. Cash flow for financing, we took a debt, remember? So if you take a debt, this is an inflow. So this is what? Debt is up by what? 5,000. That is an inflow of cash. What else? Is there any effect? No, interest doesn't affect. Interest doesn't affect, does it? Yeah, so for the interest, you can either factor in under cash flow from financing or cash flow from operations. Operations or financing. This is what? This is, okay, this is 5,000. So this is cash flow from investing. This is investing. This is cash flow from financing. So financing is what? Interest on debt is what? 500. So going down by what? 500. Cash is going out. So it's going down by what? 500. So net effect cash flow from financing is what? Up 45. I think that is all, Abby. So what is the net effect on the cash flow statement? So operations is going up by 700. PP is going down by 5,000. Net effect is what? Going down by 4,300. And then this is going up by what? 4,500. So net effect is what? Up 200. So cash flow from operations is up 200. Now let's go to our balance sheet. Assets. Cash is what? Cash is up by what? Up by 200. What other assets? Assets is up by, PP is up by what? PP is up by 5,000. No. So you have to deduct depreciation. So PP is up by what? 4K. Abi?
So did you agree with that?
There'll be zero. There'll be no interest. You're not paying interest. You're not depreciating. That's why they would ask you beginning of year one. If you now start telling them that so depreciation, they already know you don't know what you're talking about. Because at the beginning of the year you don't depreciate. At the beginning of the year you don't pay interest. No. So the only thing you talk about. So it won't affect the income statement, but your cash flow will be affected. Cash flow from financing, took out a loan, and cash flow from investing. Operations is nil, and then you go to your balance sheet. Assets is up 5,000. Your liability is up 5,000, so it balances. That's at the beginning. Now PP is what? Up by 4,000. Is there any other thing? So let's see. So PP is up by what in total? 4,200. Wow, that is a big figure. Now what else? Let's go to equity and what? Liability. So debt is up by what? 5,000. Yeah. Debt is up 5,000. What else? Which other liability? No, net income. That's retained earnings. Retained earnings is up by what? 300. Down 300. This is what? Up 40. Down what? 300. So this is 47, and this is what? 40. So there's a difference of 500. So yours was 36.
Mine was 500.
You could have balanced his own if you added
Interest. It would have worked out.
Interest. Sure. So equity, liability, debt 500, 5,000. So this would work if that interest you pay reduces. But then I've sent questions, so we can take it like that just to round up the stuff.
You know that if you give everything as interest, then you could just assume they are not paying direct. Just adding it to it. So it's going to be 5-5.
well at the end of it.
If you take what?
You did tell us that you paid the interest. You're just accounting for it. You just add it to the existing make it 5-5. So increase the interest. They're not their interest liability. That way it's not balanced. That means you're not their increments in 500.
So, no.
That means it's not paid for it.
No, not necessarily. So interest is just to show that, oh, see, you have a loan at the bank. How much are you, what is your servicing cost? So this year, 10%. So 10% of 500, but your loan is still outstanding. Does your loan increase? So if you take a loan from the bank, take a loan of 1 million naira. Your 1 million naira is 1 million naira, but you pay your interest like every time your interest falls due, and then when the time comes for you to repay your loan, you pay your 1 million. So ordinarily, that is how I think it should be. But it seems, I don't know, seems otherwise. Since your debt figure has to be reduced by the amount of depreciation, but I don't think your debt has to be reduced by the amount of interest you paid. I don't think that should be so.
Sorry, something like really deep.
How do we?
You made a mistake, but if you had added that interest.
Yeah, so you see, exactly. So you see, yeah. So just stop balancing doesn't technically mean that what you've done is accurate. It just means that you've done something rubbish very well, if you know what I mean. So look at what we did now. We're getting 4,000 and whatever, you got 360. But the thing is, at the point of your interview, if the interviewer is not paying so much attention, so long as you're able to prove, guess what, still pay attention. So long as you're able to prove that your balance sheet balances and you're walking in through the process, trust me, it won't penalize you for that. Unless it's so authentic that it spots your error right from the beginning. So that's the thing. So what we are going to figure out here is that it reduces the debt figure by interest. So ideally there should be a debt schedule. But with the debt, yeah, there should be a debt schedule. If there's a debt schedule, kind of, yes, kind of, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So that means this one will be 4-5. Something like, exactly, something like, so this will be 4-5 and then up 4-2. But we did the accurate one, you did what the basics right. You might be doing rubbish correctly, that's one thing. Good question. So what is very, very simple questions, like, trust me, question. So what else? So yeah, that's accounting. So who else has questions? You guys said you wanted valuation. So yeah, please your take home assignment. Yeah, so your question was what? You said what? So how do you value distressed assets? You use liquidation valuation method. So basically, you're going to get liquidation valuation. So you get all the assets, you get all the what? Liabilities. So usually for a distressed asset, people know that this asset is distressed. So the value they get from the sale of assets are usually, there's a word called fire sale. When people know you need that money, so they start telling you nonsense prices, but you have no choice than to sell. So that's a fire sale. If you don't sell, like something fundamentally wrong, like your business will crumble. So you now start selling your assets at ridiculously low prices. So that's why it's different from net asset method. Because net asset method is get your assets, subtract liabilities, and you get what you get. But this one is usually the assets, you sell them from below their net book value, and then you deduct your liabilities from the proceeds from selling your assets, and then you get what will go to equity holders. So that equity value, that money going to equity holders, gives us an indication of the value of the company. So liquidation should give us an equity value because it's asset less liability, it gives us equity. So for a distressed company, you use a liquidation value method. Any other question? We walked through DCF, Abby? Yeah, so you're fine. Any other question? Ask all your questions now. Okay, since no questions, it's my turn. Any other questions before I start? Any other questions? I just want to give like general feedback and like advice for your interviews, like based on what I've noticed from people I've interviewed. So any other questions? Valuations, accounting, anything? So who's going to tell me about a recent deal they've read? You guys should have all your deals now. You should have a deal that Bamo worked on, and you should have another deal ideally. So like 2 deals. Who wants to tell me? Who wants to go? Who wants to Chidima? Help us. You're not ready. So just tell me about the deal. And then let me give you guys a structure. Anyone you're able to tell us. So very first thing, try and stay off complicated companies. And try and stay off companies that are very popular. Because chances are, because the company is popular, people know so much about it, so you can't bullshit them, you can't bubble them, you can't prove smart. Just general advice. And I hope you guys are preparing for stock pitches. Yeah, because you guys don't know that they switch people to global market. They switched me to global market and switched me back to IB. So I did my stock pitch, final round interview, global markets. Then they called me and asked me if I wanted to continue with IB. So I continued with IB. So lots of that happened. I have a couple of friends. They switched Victoria from IB to global markets exactly. I have other friends they switched from IB to other places. So hope you guys are preparing on your stock pitches. Who wants to pitch me a stock? No, people are doing bank modeling now, insurance modeling, valuations. Who wants to pitch a stock? What is happening in the market? So what's the difference between an options and a forward? Is it options and forwards? No, futures and forwards. Difference between a futures and a forward. So they ask you in the interview, that's what you tell them. Yeah, so I'm asking you like, and a proper interview setting, can you tell me what the future is? Can you tell me what the forward is? And what are the differences? Market question, I think. They asked me, they gave me like a scenario for was it futures or forwards or options? I think it was an options. My second round interview, I thought it was investment banking. They asked me options. They gave me a scenario. Like when you guys started, I was like, what is all this? You guys should just tell me you're not giving me this. Like I literally wanted to stand up because I didn't know jack shit. So it started like if a trader buys an option, so he even complicated it. If a trader buys a European style option, and I didn't revise that shit, American and European style. If a trader buys a European style an American style option for so and so value, the strike price is this, the strike price is that, blah blah blah, and then at the end of the month or something, in 21 days, the value of the underlying asset is so and so amount. What should the trader do? Should he exercise or should they not exercise the option? And then when it was done, I was like, sorry, can you come again? I didn't hear you. Because I heard him. I didn't know. I didn't know shit. So when he was coming again, all I was thinking of was, God, how would I answer this question? Tell me what to say. Accept or exercise or not exercise. At the end of the day, when I was done repeating the question the second time, I think I just said something. I said, they should exercise it. They asked me why. I said, because something is lower than something. I thought I bombed that interview. Like, I really thought I bombed that interview. So, moral lesson is what? Be prepared for bull market questions. That same second round interview, they asked me to talk about, was it the UK market? They asked me to talk about The markets, yeah. They asked me to talk about the market. So if you ask that question, how is the market doing? Or what has been affecting the markets recently? What has, yeah?
Does the American kind of thing and does the American whatever and the weather will affect both futures and forwards? Like
Those are for options, not futures and forwards. So American, European, yeah. And then
American is any kind of
so there's American,
European is at the end.
there's American, there's European, and then there's Bermuda. All of this relates to options. What has been affecting the market recently? No, so that way your interviewer, that's what you tell me, the trade was. That's how you start, really. What has been affecting the market? The right market. The markets recently.
Have you enough to talk?
Where do you see the markets going in the next 2 months? What has been affecting the markets recently? Who wants to try? Trust me, you get this question your second round, behavioral. You should get it first round.
Okay, so I think what has
been affecting the market?
The lead of the Q3
What has been affecting the market
and then
recently?
Which market?
and then
Which market? Market is ambiguous. You have the equities market, you have the fixed income market, you have the currency market, you have the commodity market, commodities market, and within the equities market, you have the US equities market. You have your own country's Nigerian equities market. Equities market. You have the Asian market, Asian equity market, Asian equities market. You have the European equities market. European equities market. Don't just tell me, oh, Donald Trump, blah, 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 they are going to impeach him. What has been affecting the market? So if you want to sound very, very intelligent and knowledgeable, whichever, you would ask your interviewer, so what market would we be talking about? Are we looking at the equities market? And if the equities market, are we looking at the US equities market? Are we looking at the Asian equities market? Or are we looking at the European equities market? If it says no, we are not looking at equities market, we are looking at the fixed income market. What fixed income market? Well, like rationally, you most likely talk about the US fixed income market, because I think it's the largest in the world. Like the US has like the largest budget deficit, meaning they have more debts than most people. So the US fixed income market. So if it tells you, can you tell me what has been affecting the US fixed income market? What has been affecting the real estate market? Real estate is also another market. So currencies, what has been affecting the currencies market? If they ask you what has been affecting the currencies market, how would you go about it? Yeah, what has been affecting the entire currencies market? Yeah, sure. Nigerian perspective. Okay. Alright, so there's even what has been affecting the market, there's emerging market. I guess emerging / frontier. Who knows the difference between these two? Emerging frontier market. Is Nigeria an emerging market or a frontier market? Why is Nigeria an emerging market? So what is a frontier market? Then what is a developing market? And what is a developed market? You guys want to go to London, Abi? Develop is what? See how you shoot yourself in the foot. So tell me the G8 countries. And you tell me the additions and the subtractions over the years. So the G8 countries. So we have the G8, we have the G7. So tell me the G8 countries, the G7. That's why 8 global markets. See, it's just from markets. Look how that's come out. Just from markets. Under equities, you have this. I hate global market. But guess what? They would ask you about the market. So how would you talk about the equities market? No, were we talking about equities? No, currencies.
Yeah, actually, from my emerging market.
Sorry, please. Give me 1 minute. You guys should think about it. What's up? I missed your call, Jerry. I was switching out. Yeah, I'm alright. Oh, okay. So do you have feedback for me? Yeah. Shoot. So all this feel really honored. Always follows, but unfortunately. Okay. 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 See, so is it about or the rate was not favorable, or it's just about or okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess no. Thanks a lot, sir. No. So we'll still talk about we said Afro Investor and then which other one? And then FPN. So one of these weekends we should just like sit down. When is your paper? Like the one you have left. So wait, okay. So somewhere around that time we should just meet up and sit down and then just like try and like reach out. I'll try and get their emails. I have OWA's email. OWA is a senior VP of doing research at FBN. So I have his email, yeah. And then asking if I wish for assistance. So I feel you'll be able to like shoot your shot well and sell yourself. That's what they told me. Not HR, like research Congo. Research itself. Try and get you an email because I know someone that works there currently. It was my therapy class. So I'll tell him to just give me the email. I have someone that wants to then we'll now compose like a proper email and then shoot to them. I think that's what we do. We do for AFRI, we do for NPM. We might include Merit there. And then whatever. Yeah, we just have to do things. And you're bent on your research, either research or asset management. So that's research, okay. No worries. Thanks a lot, Jerry, for the other one. Yeah, take care. Yeah, so currencies market, I didn't forget. Okay.
What I can say is that I read about
Okay.
So I also read about
on the how to try, like, don't judge me. Can you go off the camera, please?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I would say for the currency market, I'm just going to talk about 80 currencies like South African rand and the Turkish lira, the euro. Yeah. So for due to the current issue between the US, are you listening to between the US and Turkey? And Turkey is like one of the leading economies in the commercial market, in the emerging market space. I think in the emerging market space, right? So I feel that due to the fact that Donald Trump has been placing a lot of sanctions and a lot of tariffs on Turkey just to pressure them into releasing the American passport that has been locked up as suspected spy in Turkey. That has actually affected the currencies of countries in the emerging market space, such as South Africa. The South African rand has dropped significantly because foreign investors have started pulling out their investments in the emerging market space because they are not actually confident in the direction of everything, blah blah blah. Then the Nigerian currency market is also very, very, it's still kind of stable in comparison with the dollar because of the consistent increase in the oil prices as well as other actions taken by the federal government, central banks to regulate the naira. That's all I can see. So I guess it's okay.
No, Obama expects more, not me. I'm not going to give you, No. Okay, yeah. So that was currencies. Who's going to take?
Is that all?
Going to take equities market. I'm just giving.
So for the equities market, I have an idea.
Okay,
So I think that the equities market.
So what equities market? You're missing the
Okay,
point.
so the US equities. Okay. For the US equities market, I have like a big idea of just the US and Nigeria equities market. So for the US equities market, there has been a meeting. There's been a news, an announcement that there's going to be a meeting between China and the US to settle all the trade wars. And after that, companies have started investing back. Investors have started putting back their funds into companies to invest because they believe that the outcome of the meeting is going to be favorable.
What meeting is that?
There's a proposed meeting between delegates from China and delegates from the US.
Okay, about what?
About a way to come to a good term with the ongoing trade war between China and the US. So the meeting is like trying to put that peace and trying to stop all the petty fights.
How would that affect the US equities market?
Yes, so from what I read, investors are beginning to, like, companies that are actually affected, like Apple was going to be like a big or something, and some other companies that are operating in China that tariffs have been imposed on. People are just being positive. The market is on sentiment, and the sentiment that is actually being positive that those companies that are operating, that US companies operating in China, US companies, yes, that are operating in China are going to like be favored with all the notifications that just come out from that meeting. That was all I read. It was the line I read in an analysis on the news. So I don't know if that's how it goes.
Okay. And don't say some, not in addition, say on.
Yeah, but I'm not actually so.
Are you serious? So you're going to talk about the markets for the duration of your interview. Yeah, so.
What you just said now,
Okay. Structured. Yeah. That's the word.
The meeting you're referring to actually happened on Thursday. Yeah, it happened on Thursday. And
so you just showed you're not following the market.
And that same Thursday, US imposed a $16 billion
tariff
US dollar tax on Chinese imports. That's in Thursday that the administration was going. So the additional $16 billion US dollar tax that was proposed by Donald Trump against imports from China. And so basically, the US as a field of business, in the Asian market, I want to talk about the Asian market and the US market. So the Asian market traded mix. Basically, the Shanghai Composite was up by about 25 basis points. The HSI, common was down by about 18 basis points, and the Shenzhen Composite, which is still in the greater Chinese market, was down by about 23 basis points. And that was on the back of the recent tariff imposed and the retaliation from the Chinese government against the US tariff. And same in the Asian market, we notice that the same, we have this tech giant in the US market, which we refer to as the founder, the Facebook, the Amazon, the Netflix, and Google. We have something similar to that in the Asian market, and that's where we have the TV.com, we have the Alibaba, and it has been a very good for this stock in the Asian market. Alibaba reported less than expected, adjusted less than expected earnings, and it made the share as at Thursday. Yeah, it was on Thursday. It went down by, it closed down by about 3.6% by time period, not very well. And in the US market, it was kind of, it also traded mixed in the US market on the back of the legal issue that was raised against Trump and the former campaign manager of Trump and his personal lawyer and former personal lawyer, because people were coming up with the whole issue of Trump leaving office and everything. And he issued a statement that particular day. He said, if he were to leave office, that the market would crash and everybody would be poor. It was kind of funny, but then Trump is one kind of person that influences the market with his speech and everything, and we've seen that. And also, Tesla, there's this saga about Tesla going private or not private. Finally, Elon Musk came out to address the public through his blog. He said he's no longer considering taking Tesla private, ever considering the after effect of going private or not going private, and after listening to investors, even though these investors, the shareholders will be paying with him after going private, but it still felt like, okay, that since the attitude is like, okay, you don't do this. That's from they want to go with things just for they tried like employing not to do it, and another party decided not to. But then the Security and Exchange Commission are still on the matter, because they felt like it didn't address, it was trying to manipulate the market by thinking that he wanted to take Tesla private at I think at $420 per share.
Yeah.
So basically that.
For the equities market, yeah. So that's a really nice way to start. So yeah, so all these questions, what they go to show is that, sorry, you guys just have to be very cumbersome to the market, and then you also need to have like a structure. What I noticed among people I interviewed is they just keep on rambling. Tell me about yourself. Yes, let's start. Tell me about yourself. I didn't go wrong. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. So you need to have a story to tell me about yourself. To tell yourself about yourself.
No, like I have a
Okay.
like when you don't care, you have a story about
Not necessarily just. So it's so cliche that everybody is saying, "Oh, I got interested in finance," because it's readily available online there. So almost everybody is going to do it. So when every single person in the interview is like, "Oh, so I got interested in finance when I read so and so when I studied economics in school," and then they talked about present value. Really, everybody's going to say, "So I got interested." Just tell them about yourself. No, I'm not saying skip it on. Don't say you read it from love it and skip it on. No, just tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. No, start. I know myself. I don't need to tell you about myself. You don't know me. No, I introduced myself. First class, Abby. Didn't I? I did, exactly. Yeah, so that's, you said I only told you about myself. What is the question? Tell me about yourself. And I told you about myself. Can I tell you about myself? Why are you trying to switch this? I'm the interview. Okay, so I should tell you about myself. So my name is Lovely Akomoize. I am a recent graduate of accounting from the prestigious, don't that prestigious, you kill yourself. Right, if it's someone that's schooled in UI or OAU that they are very, very competitive, now tell them prestigious, you've already started giving yourself X. So my name is Lovely Akomoize. I'm a recent graduate of accounting from the University of Lagos. University of Lagos. I'm really passionate about finance, which I feel is basically the science of money management. Over the years, I don't think this is a version I use for Bameka. Over the years, I've sought out practical opportunities to develop my appreciation for this field. The very first of which was an internship at the investment banking division of Goldman. I learned so and so there, after which I further developed my so and so at KPMG Nigeria. I was in so and so division, I learned so and so there. And then last year, I interned in the investment banking division of Bamwood. It was a really fun experience. I learned so and so there, blah, blah, blah. Outside of school, outside of internships, I'm passionate about agriculture. I enjoy reading like autobiographies. I enjoy reading non-fictional books. And if Lovely is not looking for the next internship to apply to or the next opportunity to take advantage of, if he's not in school reading academic books, you'd most likely find Lovely sleeping or wasting away on the side. So this basically describes me. Short and simple. Did you hear me saying, so I was interested in, no, I just let it flow. Tell them about yourself. They can't know more about you than you. Short and simple. I'm very sure I didn't stand up to 90 seconds. So tell me about yourself. Okay. Yeah, so you're going to ask me, what about a scenario where you don't have like internship experience? Okay, find something fun to say. So I spoke about internship experiences. What if you had volunteer experiences, like relevant volunteer experiences? Or what if... So if you don't... Relevant volunteer experience, like... Yes, so are you a member of OSIS? So it's for University of Lagos. Yes. So if it's not OSIS, yeah. If it's not OSIS, there's MPAC, there's a press club or something like that. Yeah, so that's very tricky. So if you don't have all this internship experience, what would you say? So what did I say before I had all this internship experience? Because they asked me to tell me about myself, and I told them about myself. So I think I told them that, so I said my name, what I studied in school, what I was currently on, when the TP was so very good. And then I told them about what I'm passionate about, and then I rounded it up by telling them why I'm applying for this role. So you use what you have basically. So my name is Ogechi. I'm a final year student of economics from the University of Lagos. My name is Ogechi. I am a final year student of economics from the prestigious University of Lagos. I'm also a chartered accountant. I'm also a qualified member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I'm really interested in the field of finance because I feel in the field of finance I'll be exposed to that steep learning curve environment where I'll learn so and so. I feel I'll get to work with really smart people. I feel I'll get to develop myself as a person. So you now talk about your skills, like I possess effective communication skills. I am able to work very well under pressure, and I'm able to manage my time well. For all of these reasons, I am here before you today having my interview. For all of these reasons, I'm applying for an opportunity at Bank of America, Maryland, specifically in the investment market division. I didn't mention anything about I interned there. So just know how to package yourself. So Chidima, tell us about yourself. So I'm going to time you. So 90 seconds. You can, so that's 1 minute, 30 seconds. No, let's do 1 minute, 60 seconds. Start.
My name is Gina. I'm a Muslim accountant from University. So, last, I previously attended people in Nigeria, and where I learned some of, let me see some of the
Boring.
So I learned a lot about the practice and found very interesting. Right now, I currently work at the modern company with the Talentmine and I'm here at accountant there. So I work as an accountant, and I really have experience in the world of asset management and I think because every day I'm exposed to the market.
It's your life like this.
I think that I'm getting relevant experience that time. I'm getting relevant experience for this role. I believe that
Continue. Let me see how longer you take. Okay, not bad. Alajam. I can't hear you. That's like a very, very not good way to start. When you can't even hear you. So. I think it's so. All these white guys, they don't know. I don't think they follow this year, 2 year. They said on the second year, no, you're not in the US. So you're a second year student. They don't say 200 level. They're like, 200. Some of them I have the idea, but I'm a second year student. So you're a second year student of the University of Lagos. What are you studying? You've not told us. Okay. What's the minor? Yeah, you said major, so what's the minor? You're a second year student studying economics. Once you say major, they'll ask you what's your minor, and then they've started to tackle you. Yeah. I didn't even start timing. You need to be very fast. You're speaking quite. Oh, yeah, continue. Okay. No, if you do that, I'll give you like straight up. You're acting so childish. Yeah, like you're not composed, you're smiling, and then maybe because you're in 200 level. Well, I don't feel because you're in 200 level, you should be acting like, oh, I feel, that kind of stuff. Like, I got Goldman when I was in 200 level. So, it's, like, be serious. Yeah, it's good to smile, but don't smile in that playful kind of way, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I was going to say something that doesn't make sense, oh my god. That kind of stuff. So start again. Let's start again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Google will give you pleasure, and what is the second one? Facebook will give you 1,000,001 other companies that will give you pleasure and satisfaction. So, what do you say? Yeah, so just continue from there. Okay. You derive pleasure from hard work and dedication, and you feel an internship opportunity at Bank of America Merrill Lynch would provide you that. So while a member of the Investment Society University of Lagos, we're exposed to like the basics of investment banking. We had professionals in the Nigerian investment banking sphere come talk to us about what they do. It was through all these interactions with industry professionals that I came to develop an appreciation for the field of investment banking, coupled with a bit of research I did on my own. For those reasons, and from the interactions I had, they told me what they do on a day-to-day basis, their work involved, analyze. So you have to check what investment bankers do. Their work involved so and so. And then I just felt like it was something that I would really, really enjoy doing. And that is why I'm here today. So that basically describes Khadija Baba. Short and simple. I didn't know you, or did I know you before today? Well, I don't know you rather. But from the little you said, I was able to go one and together. You just have to rehearse, and if it's to write it down. I know when I was also like I wrote it down. This guy has my book. Like I wrote it down. I wrote it down. Like tell me about you. Can you imagine writing about yourself down? My name is Lovely. Like I don't know what my name is. But under those interview conditions, you find out that all these things will just fly out. But when you have like it will be very helpful if it's a phone interview. So you have the book in front of you, and they're like, tell me about yourself, and then you know what you want to talk about, so you don't ramble. It's very, very good. They tell you about, yeah, tell me your strengths and weaknesses. You have like bullet points, my top 3 weaknesses, my top 3 strengths. So that interview pressure won't make you disoriented because you like have everything in front of you. But at least you pass the first round. When you get to the second round and you face to face, then go time. Tell me about yourself. No. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Oh, okay. 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 Oh, okay. Okay. What was what education Talentmine is? What is that? Okay. 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 Yeah, so you have to look how to now conclude because I feel your story is interesting. I've been studying engineering. So in the end, you're like, okay, let's hear what is his own story. Let's hear a story. Engineering to finance. Did you misread or something? And now you told them that you worked on your mom's farm. Okay, so engineering to the farm, and then they want to hear more. And then you now told them you did educate talent, now you learn about so and so. And for like from what you learned from people that came to talk to you, you felt finance is something that was interesting. And given your analytical background, being an engineer, you feel your skill sets would fit like the role of an analyst in investment banking division. And you are here today, like what I'm into. But like it's very interesting. I was only interviewing, very interesting. Okay, Chi, can you tell us about yourself?
My name is
Look at your interviewer, it shows confidence. Yeah, look at your interviewer, it shows confidence. So look at me. Am I not fine enough? Come in.
Okay, I'm going to be able to.
Okay.
I'm going to be from the University of New York, this department in the final day. I'm also interested on the financial statistics of my department during my student and I'm part of the.
You're my cordial.
I'm part of the research team of the National Student Development Society. Where we learn the business and learn about markets and we do some kind of framework.
So can you tell me something recent about the market? You have to be very, that's the thing, you have to, guess what, when you're telling them about yourself, once you say something interesting, they just take it from there. They won't necessarily wait for you to say everything. Don't say where you learn interesting stuff about the market. Oh, market, nice. It might be a global market person that you interview. You'll be like, what are the top things affecting the market? Yeah, like that's just how your interview continues. So what are the top things affecting the market? The interview what? Okay. Yeah, so see, the attorney is fit and behavior. It's up to the interview. So the interview has like a set of questions he's expected to ask. So when he's done asking those questions, he has all the time in the world to ask you whatever he wants to ask you. And he could ask you totally random and related questions to the ones they gave him. And he will use it to determine whether you are fit and you're technical or you're everything they said you should look for. So it's totally up to you. Like Talentmine gives us a set of questions to ask. I rarely follow the question. I ask you my question. So that's just it. Continue. So you're talking about the market. So I'm just telling you that if you want to mention the market on that very day, know everything about the market. Just think, or just know like the top things affecting the market. Continue.
Market.
Okay.
Yeah, part of the research team and the research against the business. Where we learn the news of the market, we learn about the market, we do some framework and some of the business. I'm also in the talent management division under the research division, where we learn on the.
Don't talk about, don't complicate it. You already said you're part of the research people, so just stick to that. when you mean alternative investment, all you're trying to tell your interviewer now is that you are really knowledgeable, you are really exposed. So alternative investment, private equity, are really nice. Once you're done with telling me about yourself, you'll just be like, okay, so we purchased a vehicle for 5,000 naira, interest rate this and that. Can you just walk me through how it will affect? Because now, what you're telling me about yourself as coding is that, oh, this person has a bit of experience with like analysis, following the markets, research, and what have you. Now, let me test it immediately to confirm whether or not what she's saying is bobo or it's true. So they just ask you one technical question like almost immediately. So let's assume you said you're a chartered accountant, and you are even you're done for. Those accounting questions, they're going to wait for you there. So you're a chartered accountant, yeah? Fine. So assume we bought so and so, stuff like that, and they'll just take it from there. Yeah, there are some things you don't want to, unless of course you are good, you can defend it. But trust me, I don't know how good you are. You can't be gooder, if I should use that word, than someone that's been doing that thing for the past 3 years. So it's good to like stand out, tell them you're this and you're that, but guess what? All you're trying to say is, I'm better. And if they just ask you one very simple question, that obviously you know under normal circumstances, because of the interview pressure and tension, you forget it and then you mess up yourself, and you'll be like, interviewed a chartered accountant that could not tell me the relationship between the basic financial statement, and she calls herself a chartered accountant. Like I've interviewed people that are chartered accountants, and I ask them those simple relationships, and they can't tell me, and I'm like, really? But it's not like they don't know it, or they might not actually know it's true, because Nigeria is just messed up. Like, yes, so the onus should have been on you to get acquainted with how they interview. You are meant to get acquainted with how they ask their questions. You are meant to have gone online, top technical questions, investment banking. Just Google that question. There's no how you won't see accounting questions. Tell me the relationship between the 3 financial statements. How does depreciation going up by $100? You're meant to have done all this research. You can't bring your archaic Nigerian knowledge of accounting and be telling maybe a VP or an associate that this and that. So that kind of thing. So I don't know if you can defend if you can defend like I'm a chartered accountant, there's nothing you ask me, I know my stuff. Then by all means, straight in their face, because obviously you sit on your CV. But you're not telling them I am a chartered accountant. If you don't say it, doesn't like if you don't say it, it doesn't. So this is how I'll put it. If you say it, it has more. But I say it has more downside than upside. And if you don't say it, like nothing happens. So the mere fact that you've mentioned you're a chartered accountant, meaning you are qualified, like the basic language of investment banking accounting, has increased your worth kind of in their eyes. So if you match up to that worth, all well and good for you. But if not, like you've totally messed up. How they remember you is that chartered accountant that didn't know basic accounting. Trust me, that's the end. They won't say, there was a guy I interviewed that didn't know. If I was the one to, I'll say, do you know I interviewed a chartered accountant? I cannot. That's why I say I can. I can. I interviewed an icon chartered accountant. She could not tell me 3 financial statements. She could not walk me through a basic income statement. What have you? So it's really, really subjective. On one hand, it's good to like, oh yeah, that chartered accountant, I think it'll be a great addition. That's if you know your stuff. And then there's that chartered accountant that you know shit. So it's up to you. Like most of Victoria was not chartered, was she? Like there are a couple of people, like the majority of people that have gotten like this internship, like they were not like they were chartered or something. Some have started like icon and what have you, but I don't think they emphasize them. Because for me, I feel the safest and best way to like just get this thing is know the basics and don't try to show that you know so much. Else you end up shooting yourself in the foot. Like at the bare minimum, know the basics. Know your tell me about it. Let your story be so. Let your tell me about yourself be so interesting. Let your why BAMO be so interesting. Let your why you interested in investment banking be so interesting. Let your tell me about the time you led the team be so interesting. Let your tell me about the time you worked under pressure be so interesting. And when they ask you the technicals, just be okay at it. Like you're able to tell them 3 statements. You're able to tell them the relationship, all those things. They ask you to walk them through a basic DCF. You're able to talk. You're able to answer questions on work, on beta, all those things. at the bare minimum, just be good at it, and then so you just be moving on to like each level, and then as you get higher up in the levels, what tends to happen is that once you get past the technical stage, in maybe Ghana or wherever you'd have it, you find out that the interviews now become very subjective. So once you pass the technical stage, which is the third round for IB in Ghana, you meet with a managing director or a global co-head of one unit. And then it's now all about does she like you, does she not like you. Because when I got back home and then I traveled, I caught up with she was the managing director that I had my final round interview. She's like the global co-head of real estate. What's her name again? Jockhead or something. So I scheduled the catch up with her, and then I asked her that, so what made me stand out among like other people? Guess what she said? She said she felt I spoke better English than most people in interview. Can you just imagine? I said she felt I spoke like really, really nice. And then she felt I'll do well. Can you imagine? Not technical, not model, not bank where you could model a bank. No. Not you intend, she didn't mention you intend at KPM. She said you spoke better than other people she interviewed. And for that reason, my prayer answered. And she just wrote yes for me. So you see, it's very, very, but like at first stage, second stage, they want to know if you know what you are talking about. So it's going to be technical, get the technical. But higher up is now very subjective. You might like your face. You might just say something that she connects with. Oh, you're not mentioning a farm. What if the person interviewed you has worked on a farm? And like it's something she's very passionate about and it's something she still wants to go and do like once you retire. Then she just start a conversation from there. And then she just like you. I don't know if Tiger has shared this experience. Like was this third round or so? They didn't say anything about investment banking. All they talked about was Man United, Manchester United, and football in London. And he got the internship. All on the guy I was talking about. I think the guy I was talking to was he was named after like a player, and the player played for Man U, and both of them happened to be Man U fans. They just started. So that's the thing. But first stage, nobody's going to tell you Man United. We are here for business, so you want to get the basics right, and the basics are what they were asking first stage. All this tell me about yourself and about it. Karina, can you tell us about yourself? Okay, Katrina Monet. Okay. Okay. And then what stockbroking firm? What did you say? A sawmill firm. Okay. Are you done?
Yeah.
Are you actually done?
Yeah.
You're sure you're done. So rate yourself. So about 10, rate yourself.
Myself.
Yeah, rate yourself. At least you have belief in yourself. That's good. Okay, so Hussein, tell us about yourself. I'm still coming back to give you a review.
My name is Today I'm here on the I got there today for the
Hey, I'm listening now.
My name is Today
Okay.
and I got interested in finance for my executive and over time out. To go my interest in finance, I've attended a couple of trainings and I've about valuation, financial spending, and financial business analysis, and I read finance books, I read finance newsletters too. I'm currently a member of my class tutorial team. I take tutorials, I take several for these tutorials and many for these tutorials. I mean, never I go for a day, I take about 3,000 children in a space of 3 months. And I took part in 5 weeks hours as a new person. I see myself in it, working as an investment financial analyst, a top global firm or local firm in Nigeria. And as myself, I like volunteer, I work for, I play for, I work there.
Are you done? Rate yourself. Oh my god. What has not told us about? Oh yeah, Toby, tell us about yourself.
I'm very passionate about finance and education about it. My interest in finance developed on the back of the event that led to the global economic meltdown of 2008 and global economic meltdown of 2008 and how it affected the financial service sector and global economy of that. I was fascinated to read about the events back then in 2010 when I was an art student in my secondary school. And I developed interest in finance. And it was one of those things that influenced my choice of course of study at the university. And since then, to further develop my knowledge about finance, I've been a strong follower of the global market and politics. I've also developed interest. I've also developed skills which will enable me to function effectively as an investment banking analyst. In my spare time, I love playing football. I love hanging out in natural environment. I love singing music, and I believe my students so far have got the benefit of the opportunities in the investment banking.
Okay. So can you tell me what the chief cause of the financial crisis was?
Okay. Okay, fine. In 2007, 2008, there was this increase in investment in subprime mortgages. And when I mean subprime mortgages, the subprime mortgages as mortgage-backed securities, where before 2007, the Fed that in the US, they reduced the interest rate.
See, you just complicated your life. And then you just start tackling you. Just from financial crisis. So just try and simplify stuff. Like that's just not an advice. Like be very structured and keep it very simple. Keep it as simple as you can keep it. Extremely simple. Don't tell them too much stuff, and even tell them stuff you can't defend. That's going to be worse. Because if they just pick you up on it, then sorry. Yeah, you're good. But that's just it. Yeah, you have a question? Yeah, my leg. Okay. Okay. So if you ask me about my weaknesses, so you could tell them something like, oh, see, I'm not myself when I'm with a very, very fine girl. Or something like that. Yeah, I mean, you're asking for your weaknesses now. So you tell them, like, I don't know, it's just about being very, very, kids don't even try it. Don't try and be funny. Like, some people would take off, like, serious offense at it. Exactly, I'll be like, really? So am I joking here? You're telling me that your weakness is what? You can't deal with being around beautiful girls, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's just a joke. So, ideally, what you should do is try and look for something that you're not so good at, but that you're working at being good at. Or try and look for something that maybe people have complained about you, but that you're trying to, like, working on it. When they ask you for weaknesses, don't just tell them, oh, so I find it very, very hard working on different projects. At the back of their mind, they're like, okay, so what do you think you'll be doing when you come here? Working on half project or just one project? Because in investment banking, it's working on like 3 consecutive projects. So, fine, you tell them that you find working like on different projects to be quite challenging, but through your experiences and over the years, you have like found like a way to deal with this, and then you tell them briefly about how you deal with it. You try and prioritize. You try and like work in terms of seniority of the person that gave you the work. So, for example, a managing director gives you a work and an associate gives you a work. Fine, you don't want to scroll over the associate because guess what? You're working with the associate more, but you also know the managing director is high up in that hierarchical structure, and you don't also want to mess with him. So you've just been able to like figure out how to like balance like competing needs of like different people you've worked on, and then you found out that by doing that you've pretty much been able to like handle the different projects you've been staffed on very well. That sounds simple. So ideally just look for something negative and try and spin it in a positive way. That's for weaknesses. Then for your strengths, basic stuff. So I communicate quite effectively. I've been told by my friends, even by my lecturers at school. Nobody's going to call a lecturer to ask. Bobo them. My lecturers told me I communicate quite effectively. I've noticed I work very well in teams. And I know there'll be lots of like team projects at Bank of America. Because I was having a conversation with an intern that just returned, and then they said they were staffed on this intern-wide team project, blah blah blah, where they have to like work together in a team of 6. So I feel like my teamwork skills I've developed over the years would come to the fore when I joined. So yeah, trying to tell them that yeah, I did my research. You guys do lots of you put sometimes in teams. My team working skills are top notch. Pick me. So I can work under pressure. That is a strength of mine. Now you tell them. So usually when you tell them like your strength, like I can work under pressure. It's always very good to give them a short story, showing how you work under pressure. Oh, I can work well with teams. Give them a short story of how you can work well with teams. Usually when they ask for your strength, just pick top 2 or top 3, because you have to tell them so you don't want to bore them out of their mind. You just pick 2 strengths, give them nice stories. Your weaknesses, they'll ask you for your biggest weakness or something. Just give them one and tell them how you're working on it. Pretty much. Any other question?
So, the weakness is something people have complained.
Yes, but there are lots of things people have complained about me. I won't go and tell them more.
Yeah.
So, okay. So it's not necessarily what, like when they ask me for my weakness, who would come out, who would walk up to me and tell me, sorry, this, blah, blah, blah. Nobody has complained. I don't know, maybe they say behind my back, but nobody has complained to me. But the whole idea is that being bossy, be a weakness. Yeah, it depends on how you spin it. Yeah. It depends on how you spin it. And tell them that over the years, you've noticed that people you've worked with gave you like feedback that you are quite bossy. You might not necessarily don't use the word bossy, it's kind of negative. You can tell them that over the years, people you've worked with have complained, or have don't use complain negative. Over the years, people you've worked with have mentioned to you that you have this, how would I put it? Like you have the sense of urgency when you're given a task to work on. So sense of urgency in the sense that when you're given like a project or something to do, you usually want to get right to it. And by usually wanting to get right to it, it means like trying to make sure other people to get right to it. So if you're given a project that has a deadline of ending of the year, being the kind of person you are, you want to start working on it like ASAP. And that would mean getting your team members to work on it. And in that way, they feel that you kind of, yes, like you kind of like put that, yeah, you push them to do more, kind of. So that's something they would really like. It's not, it doesn't sound so, you have to be very discerning to know that that is kind of negative or positive in the way. When you now tell them how you're working on it, don't just go and tell them that people complain that I don't get shit done. People complain that I'm late. Sorry, I don't want to know how you spin how you are now getting early. That all they remember is that girl that said people complain she's late. Your communication is like very good. Like, can tell them that, like some years back or like 1 or 2 years ago, like you are this very, very reserved, conservative person. So you find it like very uncomfortable, like talking to people, unless of course you have to talk to them. So if there were about 50 people in a room, you most likely be by yourself. But then through the project you've been involved in, through your academic work in school, you've more or less pushed yourself to like come out of your shell, because you've pretty much figured out that in this competitive world we are living in, the guy that is all by himself, that sits by himself, that walks by himself, will die by himself. That kind of stuff. That you've just realized like the importance of like working with people, getting to meet people. That you can tell them that you feel that on some level, the whole idea of like getting yourself in people's faces is kind of superficial. Like it depends on how you spin it. Like you can spin this thing to them that they'll be like, oh wow, so let me give you tips on how you like to now want to even give you tips. It depends on how you spin it. So you're making anything your weakness, even if it's not your weakness. Yours is to get bound already. So any other question? Okay. So during my time it was, so I applied early. They told us Talentmine. Are they told you guys to apply? No, okay. So during my time they told us to apply like ASAP. So because we applied ASAP, some of us had like our interviews the day after the corporate presentation. So it was face to face. Yeah, face to face. So immediately you know your face. I don't know if I like face to face. Like obviously, if you had a face-to-face interview, you know how you perform. Once you leave there, like, I messed up. What's it getting to now? That kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know which I prefer. But last year, I decided I didn't do face-to-face interviews after the corporate presentation. The thing with BAM is that every year it changes. You really can't see. But usually what they do is that the day after the corporate presentation, for those that applied early, they would have their face-to-face interview. And I think I prefer that. I mean, just start with the process. You might have your phone interview now and then the network is just crazy. You can't hear you, you can't hear him, or he's talking and you can't, like his accent is, because usually the guys that come for corporate presentations are Nigerian Ghanaians, so you can talk to them. Like, but the downside to that one is that you can't bobo them, because they're black, like they've gone to the bobo picture. It's just like me that boboed my way, or Tega that boboed his way, or other people that boboed their way. You now want to start boboing them. That you're passionate, oh, this is your passion. You know all those very nonsense and weird things you can tell all these whites and they'll be like, oh wow, that's interesting. Tell me that nonsense. I'll look at what are you trying to fool me? That kind of stuff. So there are ups and downs. So you meet like your guy, you can't bobo him, you just have you meet Camaro comes every this case. He comes every year. And that guy is it's not a beast, it's just very I don't know. I actually like him. He's actually from my state, kind of. But it's this kind of person that he wants to make sure you know your stuff. Imagine first round interview and then he was asking me questions. He was asking me about a deal. I told him one. He was like, okay, another one. I managed to tell him another one. He was like, okay, another one. I was like, Baba, Alpha. I was like, sorry, these are like the two that come to my mind, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you guys are not passionate enough, actually for a deal, you should have 5 ready. Tell me this one, tell me that one. Like, is this very first round interview? He was asking me about financial modeling. I was like, really? And during our Talentmine, Gretchen was like, don't worry, like you don't need to bother yourself about financial management. Get the internship first. Or then he asked me, I was like, God. So that kind of thing. Yeah, he asked me to tell him about financial management. I didn't even know where to start. I think it was this year that I just knew that you're trying to get present values, and I knew I just found book that. But if you meet someone like that, he always pushes you. I think he also I think he was drinking a bottle of Pepsi that day, and then there were people that came like after me and he told them to how do you value Pepsi, or he might be wearing a glasses or something like wristwatch, like random stuff. He just like that exactly first round. And trust me, he's not going to say this is first round. I know I pushed them too much. Let me just pass them because it's first round. No. He has created his impression. I'm going to give you a yes or a no. I'm most likely a no. People don't like interviewing with him. Like it's too. If you don't know your stuff, you mess up. Right. So you have. And guess what? He's a global markets person and he interviewed me first round. So someone like that would ask you about the market. You're not telling that. Sorry, I'm applying to investment banking. He doesn't want to hear. Nobody wants to hear. Oh, I'm applying to investment. So you don't know about the market. That's the thing. So you need to always shit. You start doing. Can you apply to all this other bank? So the thing is, like banks that have like an Africa program, they're just Goldman and Bamboo for now. Yeah, but it's the spring program, so you have to go, and that's when you're in school. That's the thing, and the Bank of America, that's the good thing about Bamboo. You can apply now, you can apply when you're in your final year, you can apply when you're doing your NYC, and you can apply like 1 year after NYC. Those things like that. You just keep trying. Don't worry, your third time will be the lucky charm. So that's just it, pretty much. Like, just get your basics right. You guys will be well. How you feeling? Oh, okay, yeah. All the very best. You want what? You want? Okay.
You know me now, it's all that. It's all there, I play basketball. What else do you say?
No, I thought everybody judged, Everybody told you about you, tell me about yourself now. How did you guys feel about talking about yourself? No, this is a group setting, so it's going to be group feedback. And probably okay, so you guys should give up. Yeah, I was supposed to do that. You guys should give yourselves feedback. So what feedback would you give? Chidima, what feedback would you give us? Yes, what feedback would you give us?
I think my feedback is
Yeah, you can check Google. You can check your site. It might be there. But it might, exactly.
Like food.
I control myself.
You have to know what people get and experience it. I think you don't know what to go to that. You have to still know what to get and
lovely.
N-O, no? No. No, that's it.
Me, I want to be a superstar, a movie star. But that's how it is.
Off again. I'm outside. Where do I drop?
You're done, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Let me see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah,